Week 3. Let's go. It's week 3. Sunday morning live stream has begun. And we already got tons of people in the comments section. Shout out Xavier, 6:30 in the morning here in Cali. Could have been 4 in the morning. I'm not missing the Sunday morning stream with the boys. Really appreciate that, Xavier. And man, there is a lot to get through today. Feels like the injury news starting to stack up. We'll just quickly let you know some good news this morning. Weatherman Sam, I don't think has to come out today. I don't think Weatherman Sam is going to be a thing in week 3. Kind of was a thing a little bit on Thursday night, so I guess we can count that. But the weather didn't impact that game all that much. It doesn't look like the weather's going to impact any games really too much today, so we don't need to worry too much about that. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. We'll be live basically right up till kickoff. Lots to get through. You can see my top 10 players, each position on the YouTube live. Let's actually start with the tight ends this week. I'll start with the tight ends because, man, tight end is a desolate wasteland yet again this week. But we do have George Kittle coming back, and I would be starting George Kittle if I have George Kittle. You should be happy that George Kittle is back. Why Herbert and Allen? So, yeah, I had my do not draft list up on TikTok again. We're live on YouTube and TikTok. I'll pull up my do not draft list right now on YouTube as well. It's the same list on both TikTok and YouTube. You can't start Keenan Allen. He is very questionable today. It looks like he's probably not going to play, but he might play. This game's later in the day, so this is an absolute headache in terms of fantasy football, but it seems like Keenan Allen's trending towards not playing, so don't start Keenan Allen. Justin Herbert, he has a rib injury, by the way. I mean, throw back to the Ty God Taylor injury where they punctured his lung before the game. I really hope that it's not the same doctor that Justin Herbert's working with, though I think it is. Anyways, Justin Herbert is very questionable to play today, too. He didn't practice at all this week. And it sounded like on Friday, he almost definitely wasn't going to play. If you look at the spread on this game, the spread's only 3.5 points for the Chargers against the Jaguars. And that tells you everything you need to know about Vegas not thinking Justin Herbert's going to play. It sounds like Justin Herbert wants to play, but everybody else is saying Justin Herbert's not going to play. So the competitor in Justin Herbert wants to play, but guys, you can't have Justin Herbert in your starting lineup when there's a very good chance he's not even going to play at all. And then even if he does play, you got to be a little bit concerned with these rib injuries that they get re-injured. So, yeah, I'm benching Justin Herbert today, and I'm benching Keenan Allen, and I think you can consider benching Mike Williams for all those same reasons, though Mike Williams does get a pretty big bump with Keenan Allen out, so he's going to benefit from that. But, yeah, I'm not very excited for Justin Herbert today because I don't think he's going to play. And if he does play, I'm also going to be really nervous that he's going to re-injure himself, and I think that's exactly why he's not going to play. So right now he's questionable against the Jaguars. But, guys, the sports books open this week. The Chargers were double-digit favorites in this game, which makes sense. They're playing the Jaguars. Right now, they're only 3-point favorites. So nobody's believing Justin Herbert's going to play. Nobody thinks that Justin Herbert is going to play in this game. And therefore, you can't trust him in your fantasy lineups. Taysom Hill, he's not playing. J.K. Dobbins, it's his first week back, but you can't trust him in your starting lineups in fantasy quite yet, though it is very exciting that J.K. Dobbins is returning. Chris Godwin, he's not playing. Cole Beasley's playing for the Buccaneers today. Guys, don't try out Cole Beasley in your starting lineups, please. Julio Jones, same situation as last week. Julio Jones, game time decision. And once again, I'm going to tell you, don't start Julio Jones. We've seen this story so many times with Julio Jones. Do not start Julio Jones. Even if Julio Jones plays, we don't know he's at 100%, and we don't know if he's going to be able to make it through the entire game. I really need to see Julio Jones play an entire game like he did in week 1. He looked pretty good, by the way, in week 1. I need to see that again till I trust him in my starting lineups. Because if you're starting Julio Jones, guys, you are very much risking 0 points in your lineup. Sammy Watkins, he's out today. Christian Watson, he's out today. Damien Pierce is playing today. But I think the Ravens are not a good matchup for the Patriots. I think this is a much better Ramondre Stevenson type of day than Damien Pierce. I'm definitely not trusting Damien Pierce at all this week. Damien Pierce is a very touchdown-dependent running back. And in a game where the Patriots are likely going to be trailing to the Ravens, I'm not feeling so good about Damien Pierce this week. Start Garrett Wilson or Curtis Samuel at flex. There's so many Curtis Samuel questions every week on this live, and I'm not starting Curtis Samuel over Garrett Wilson. I'm not starting Curtis Samuel over Chris Olave. I don't think I'm even starting Curtis Samuel over Treylon Burks. All 3 of those rookies, I'm definitely not starting them over Drake London. Really, all 4 of those rookies I'm playing over Curtis Samuel. And I get this, the usage for Curtis Samuel has been great. And if you want to chase that usage, you can continue to chase that usage. He's been pretty consistent through the first 2 games of the season. But yeah, I think that the ceiling for Garrett Wilson is absolutely, absolutely high. Curtis Samuel had 19 points in week 1, 22 points in week 2, but he scored a touchdown in both games. He's not going to score a touchdown every game, guys. He did have at least 9 targets in both games. I don't think that's going to hold up throughout the season either. He's the 3rd best receiver on his own team, behind Terry McLaurin, who I do think is going to improve as the season goes on. I think he's gotten off to a pretty slow start. I would expect what we've seen from Terry McLaurin to be more of his floor than his baseline this season. And then Jahan Dotson's looked pretty good too. So yeah, I'm not feeling great about Curtis Samuel. I'm benching Damien Harris because the Ravens are going to beat up on the Patriots today. It's not going to be a good game script for Damien Harris, who's a very touchdown-dependent fantasy running back. By the way, guys, we're live on YouTube and TikTok right now. On the YouTube Live, you get way more information. You get my top 10 rankings at every single position. You also get my DraftKings lineup right on the screen. You also get all my picks against the spread right on the screen, and my favorite player props coming later as well. By the way, the Rashad Bateman prop last week, I mean, that was literally, it felt like stealing. They said it at 40, I think it was 44.5. I think it's at 48.5 this week, by the way, which is still way too low. But 44.5, he had a catch over that each of the first 2 weeks, I'm pretty sure. His average depth of target, one of the top in the league. Rashad Bateman's still being slept on, in my opinion. I'm pretty nervous with the Pats trying to defend him this week. All right, we'll get to some comments in the YouTube Live. Also, I'll switch up the top 10 rankings. Let me pull up my top 10 running backs this week. And by the way, if you saw the tight ends, guys, I have Kyle Pitts all the way down at number 7. I'm still starting Kyle Pitts this week, though. Everywhere I have Kyle Pitts, I'm starting Kyle Pitts. I'm digging myself I'm digging my own pit here. That's actually one of my team names with Kyle Pitts, where I'm 0-2 with Kyle Pitts. You got to keep trotting out Kyle Pitts. And it's actually a pretty good matchup this week for Pitts. But I do have him ranked number 7 because he's been horrible. Olave, Judy, Pollard at flex. This one's definitely tough. Judy sounds like he is going to play this week, but he still is questionable. And I think this is a later game, too, which does give me a little bit more concern. With Judy, I'm okay going Olave here. I'm not going to lie. I think Olave has tremendously high ceiling, especially if you're in a league that gives bonuses for deep plays. Guys, Chris Olave leads the entire NFL in air yards, and it wasn't like it all came in week 2. A lot of them came in week 2. Like, you'd like to see a little bit more consistency week to week. But he still had 41 yards in week 1 against A.J. Terrell, one of the top corners in the league. But yeah, he ran more routes, he played more snaps, and he saw way more air yards in week 2. I'm okay going with Olave this week. It's not like the best matchup in the world for Olave. It could be a low-scoring game between the Saints and the Panthers this week. I believe that's who they're playing. But yeah, I'm okay going Olave in this situation. Let me pull up the spreads again. Morning, Sam. Sutton, MT, T. Higgins, DK, Bateman, full PPR. Much love. Appreciate the positivity. Daniel, by the way, if you're watching live on TikTok, make sure you hit that follow button. If you're watching live on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. We're trying to hit 10,000 YouTube subscribers this season. We're getting kind of close. We're getting low-key close. So hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Really does help me out a ton. Morning, Sam. Pick 2, Sutton, MT, T. Higgins, DK, or Bateman, full PPR. Yeah, picking 2 from this list is definitely difficult. I actually really like Sutton and T. Higgins this week, though. I like Bateman a lot, too. MT obviously should be considered. I think you can rule out DK, though, in this one. I think I would go Higgins and Sutton, though. Personally, I feel pretty good about Sutton with the Judy injury and T. Higgins against the Jets. I have a good feeling about him this week as well. J.D. McKissick or Nico Collins. This is a deep one. Alex, and by the way, guys, if I don't get to your start-sit question on this live, and I will get to hundreds of start-sit questions on this live, if not thousands of start-sit questions on this live. I'll get to as many as I can, but realistically, I won't get to all of them. And if I don't get to yours, the best place to go is the WalterPicks app. It's completely free in the iOS and Android app store. You can do as many start-sit and trade comparisons for completely free as you want. So if I don't get to your question, try it out in the WalterPicks app in the start-sit tool, and you can also input your custom league settings in that too. J.D. McKissick or Nico Collins. Nico Collins seems like he's entrenched as the number 2 receiver for the Texans. But I also let me pull my picks against the spread to actually answer this one, because honestly, the best way to get a sense of how I'm feeling about each of these games is looking at my picks against the spread. By the way, we're 54% this season, 18 out of 33 games. Not bad so far. Definitely not amazing, but it could be much worse against the spread. And I don't usually place any actual money against the spread, by the way. I'm very transparent about that. It's very hard to beat spreads and over-unders. That's why I always stick to player props. But we are 54% against the spread this season. I have 3 locks today. One of them is the Eagles. I think the Eagles are going to steamroll the Commanders. The Commanders' defense hasn't looked very strong this season, and the Eagles' offensive line looks pretty clearly like a top offensive line, if not the top offensive line in the entire NFL. By the way, we just launched an offensive line, completely free offensive line evaluator tool in the WalterPicks app. Really, it's the first of its kind. This type of O-line analysis, really purely analytical, player-level O-line analysis, and it's completely free. It's completely free. I don't know anyone else that would offer this completely free. And if you look at that, the Eagles are the number 1 offensive line in the NFL. I think that bodes well for J.D. McKissic, Alex. I would actually go J.D. McKissic over Nico Collins this week. By the way, we smashed the George Pickens prop. Absolute money catch by George Pickens, 33 yards down the field on Monday night. So we'll take the dub. I think we're over 50% on the live stream player props now. Bateman or London? I think I would lean London over Bateman. I think he's a little bit safer, similar ceilings. But I do like both. And guys, I think you got to be strongly considering all the rookies, all the rookie wide receivers this week, the top 4 of them, at least. Treylon Burks, I think you should be considering him against the Raiders. His arrow is pointing very much up. People were really down on Treylon Burks heading into the season. And he's really proven a lot of that narrative wrong. He's top 10 in the league. He's number 7 in the NFL in yards per route run. He's been the most efficient rookie wide receiver in the league on a per route run basis. He hasn't run that many routes, but he saw more routes in week 2, significantly more than he did in week 1. That trend could continue in week 3. It's only a matter of time, I think, till Burks is the clear alpha number 1 receiver for the Titans. But yeah, I'm not playing him over Juju this week. I do think we should consider him, though, and Olave, and Drake London, and Garrett Wilson. I think all 4 of those guys need to be at least considered in your starting lineup this week. Pollard or Curtis Samuel, that one's, I think, okay going. I'm okay going Curtis Samuel over Tony Pollard, but it's close. And I ate the L on this live stream last week about Tony Pollard, and then he goes out and has a really good game. By the way, I'm posting recaps of these live streams every single, usually it's Wednesday morning, that I'll post a recap of these lives because I gotta make sure I'm improving every week. So I go back, I watch the live, and I see what I did best and worst last week. One of my worst takes was Tony Pollard. I was off on Tony Pollard, and I'm okay starting him this week, but I actually think I like Curtis Samuel a little bit more. Favorite player prop of the day? Yeah, let's get to my favorite player prop of the day because I think this one is absolute money. Honestly, I won't be shocked if it's moved already. But my favorite player prop of the day today, Dalvin Cook over 18.5 receiving yards. You can find this on Prize Picks. You can find this on Underdog. I've already hit this one pretty hard. I like his rushing props too. I think Dalvin Cook is going to explode today. I have him in a lot of my DraftKings lineups. I will pull up my DraftKings lineup in a second. I actually don't think the DraftKings lineup I have for the live has Dalvin Cook in it, but I think you should be strongly trying to get Dalvin Cook in your DraftKings and FanDuel lineups this week. Guys, the Lions defense has been so bad. The Lions team is just constructed for shootouts. They are constructed to have extremely high scoring games because their defensive line outside of Aiden Hutchinson is not very scary. Their secondary is not very scary. But the Lions' offensive line is very, very real. And their offense is going to be able to score points this season. I think Dalvin Cook could have a huge day. They've already been pretty bad against running backs, the Lions. So I do like Dalvin Cook a lot today. By the way, guys, we're live on YouTube and TikTok. On the YouTube live, a lot of the start-sit questions I'm seeing right in the TikTok live, you can answer literally just by coming to the YouTube live because you can see my top 10 rankings, every single position right on the YouTube live. Link to the YouTube live is right in the TikTok bio. So you're like a couple presses of your finger away from the YouTube live. I will try to get to as many questions as I can. Muted. Why are you saying muted? I'm not muted. How do you feel about A.J. Dillon this week? As a Packers fan, I feel like they should give him more touches to the hot hand and Aaron Jones, but Dillon still had more rushing attempts last week, just missed out on TDs. Yeah, this is a really good question. And I just saw an A.J. Dillon question in the chat too. I think A.J. Dillon's really tough to trust this week. This is probably the worst possible matchup for A.J. Dillon. I actually am trotting A.J. Dillon out in a few DraftKings lineups because I think he'll be really low owned, and I'm playing in mostly tournaments, so there's some strategy there. But yeah, I think you can bench A.J. Dillon in a if you have a good enough player to bench him for. But I wouldn't say you automatically need to be benching A.J. Dillon because, like you said, he had 18 touches, 18 carries last week. Plus, I think he had 1 catch too. So yeah, I do really like still the usage for A.J. Dillon. But really, the production from him today in fantasy is going to have to come in the receiving game. The Bucs are so good against the run. Their defensive line has been so strong against the run for so long. And actually, if you use the O-line analyzer too, Liam said, love the O-line feature. Thanks, man. Completely free, by the way, for anyone to try. All of you listening, you can get the best possible O-line insights 100% free right in the WalterPicks app, literally right now. If you go download the app, completely free. And I actually did a comparison yesterday when this tool launched, I wanted to know whose offensive line should I trust more this week. Is it the Packers versus the Bucs, or is it the Bucs offensive line versus the Packers? And it seemed pretty clear that actually the Buccaneers, even with the injuries on the O-line, match up better against the Packers D-line than the Packers offensive line matches up against the Bucs D-line. Another reason to be a little bit concerned about A.J. Dillon this week. So yeah, I'm okay benching A.J. Dillon this week. Doesn't feel like a very good chance he scores a rushing touchdown this week against the Bucs. He still could be pretty involved in the passing game, so I don't think you need to bench him. But yeah, I would be okay going in a different direction this week with A.J. Dillon. Again, I think this might be the worst possible matchup for A.J. Dillon this season, so it's not like I'm down on him rest of season. Start 2, Pittman, T, Brandon Cooks, Marquise Brown, Gabe Davis. Yeah, you got to start Pittman, I think, this week. I know that he was out last week with an injury, but man, the Colts look so bad without him that you just have a really good feeling Matt Ryan's going to continue to lock into Michael Pittman just like he did in week 1, just like we expected him to in week 1. Week 1, he had 13 targets, 9 catches, 121 yards, 110 air yards. He scored 27 fantasy points because he scored a touchdown as well. He was the number 5 wide receiver in fantasy football in week 1. Granted, he was up against the Texans. This week he gets the Chiefs. Not that scary of a secondary. I think you have to start Michael Pittman. Like, there's really no way around benching Michael Pittman. So start Michael Pittman in basically every situation. I don't think he's in my top 10 wide receivers. Let me pull up my receiver rankings, actually. I think the receiver rankings this week are super interesting. I don't have any of these players, I think, in this question in my top 10. I've been really bullish on Marquise Brown since week 1. He's sort of bailed out each of the 2 weeks. Hasn't had that monster game that I was hoping he could have. So it's really tough, I think, between these last guys. I'm okay benching Gabe Davis, though, over – I would definitely play T. Higgins, Cooks, Marquise Brown all over Gabe Davis. This week, though, that Bills-Dolphins game is definitely one you're going to want pieces of. I think I would side with T. Higgins, honestly, in this one. I do think that the Jets-Bengals game could be closer than people expect. I think I would go with his first 2, Pittman and T. Higgins. But Brandon Cooks, Marquise Brown have a really interesting floor ceiling as well. Tyler Conklin or Gerald Everett. Yeah, we're scraping the bottom of the barrel again at tight end. And I think it's got to be Gerald Everett. I'm nervous, though, about the Justin Herbert stuff. It doesn't look like Justin Herbert's going to play. It does not look like Justin Herbert is going to play today. He's still possibly going to play. But this game's also later in the day. So you got to make some of these start-sit decisions now. And yeah, I'm okay going Gerald Everett. Even without Justin Herbert, he's been out there basically every single snap for the Chargers. Got another question for you, Sam. Tua or Mariota? Leaning towards Tua. Yeah, this one's tough. And honestly, Mariota has a pretty safe floor this week. I actually think in the WalterPicks app, we have Mariota ranked like 12th or 11th this week. But yeah, I'm okay going Tua over Mariota. I think the ceiling for him is much higher. I want to get to this question in the YouTube live. By the way, we're live on TikTok and YouTube right now, and we have a little bit more info on the YouTube live. So if you're watching live on TikTok, come over to the YouTube live. Link is in the TikTok bio. I can't find this question now, but someone was asking fantasy football or math. It's just both, man. It's both. Honestly, it's too tough to decide between those two. But my life is so much intertwined between the two that it's so hard for me to even separate the two anymore. Thoughts on CEH? Sell or keep? I'm selling. I think Clyde. And I've been one of the biggest Clyde stands since he entered the league. I have him in way too many best ball leagues again this year. He's off to a great start production-wise, but his usage has been pretty concerning. And I think he's going to have some really disappointing weeks for people. We've already seen Jerick McKinnon, Isaiah Pacheco mix in around the goal line too. He's only played 38% of the snaps so far this season, only 9.7% target share. That's not super encouraging. His weighted opportunities per game is 32nd in the league. Like, I think you're getting more than that from Clyde if you trade him, because he scored a bunch of touchdowns. He's had a good 2 weeks. He's had at least 15 points in each of his first 2 games. But guys, he doesn't even have a game with 10 carries. His usage is honestly extremely low. Honestly, looking at this, it's even lower than I thought, and I already thought it was low. He had 7 carries in week 1, 8 carries in week 2. It's like so obvious that you should be selling him. He didn't score a touchdown last week. He did go over 100 yards last week, but he only had 12 touches. He went over 100 yards, 12 touches. Like, we can't expect that every week. He's been a top 8 running back each of the first 2 weeks, but yeah, I'm selling Clyde. He's been really efficient on his touches. I wouldn't expect him to be as efficient moving forward. Flacco, I'm seeing a Flacco question, or Rodgers this week. Yeah, I'm playing Rodgers. I'm playing Rodgers over Flacco. Honestly, the Rodgers hate's getting a little out of control. The Packers hate's getting a little out of control. That's why I'm taking the Packers against the Bucs today. I think the Packers have a better team than the Bucs with all the injuries to the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers, no Mike Evans today. No Chris Godwin today. Julio Jones looking on the wrong side of questionable today. They signed Cole Beasley, Cole Beasley's not going to move the needle for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Russell Gage, he's questionable. Looks like he's going to play, though. Leonard Fournette, questionable. Looks like he's going to play, but they are missing Tristan Wirfs on the offensive line. By the way, Taylor Lewan for the Titans, he's out for the season. Derrick Henry's looking like a super shaky fantasy asset right now with the Taylor Lewan injury. Most of the players on the board are recovering. Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm saying, like, you have to bench these guys. If you're watching live on TikTok, let me pull up the list again that I think you have to bench if you're watching live on YouTube. Like, and I only put players on this list that I'm saying, like, basically in all situations you should bench. And most of these have to do with injuries. Yeah. Like, bench all these guys. Don't risk it with these guys. Keenan Allen, Justin Herbert. Keenan Allen's not playing, I don't think. And Justin Herbert has a little bit more of a chance to play, but I don't think he's playing either. Jacoby Myers, he's not playing. J.K. Dobbins, he's playing, but he's coming back from injury. Who knows how much run he's going to get. Taysom Hill, not playing. Chris Godwin, not playing. Cole Beasley playing, but come on, it's Cole Beasley. Julio Jones, probably not playing. And if he plays, he's not 100%. Sammy Watkins, not playing. Christian Watson, not playing. Damien Pierce is playing, but he's very touchdown dependent, and the Ravens are big favorites today against the Patriots. I was actually surprised, by the way, that the Ravens were only, 2.5-point favorites? Let me pull up my picks against the spread again. The Ravens, only 2.5-point favorites against the Patriots. This made no sense to me, guys. Both the Patriots and the Ravens have already both played the Dolphins. Patriots-Dolphins game, it was somewhat close. Not really. I mean, the game was over basically at the end of the first half. The Ravens should have beaten the Dolphins, but they really just collapsed defensively. But guys, the Ravens have a lot of their secondary back this week. The secondary for the Ravens isn't going to be as bad this week. They were without, so they had their top corner last week, but they were without their next 4 corners after that. We talked about this on this live last week. That's why we were playing Tua. That's why we were playing Tyreek. That's why we were playing Jalen Waddle on DraftKings in those stacks last week because we knew the Ravens secondary was obliterated. But guys, they're going to have, I think, 3 of their top 4 corners this week, so very different than last week. Plus, Jacoby Myers is out. I think the Ravens are going to just completely steamroll the Patriots. I mean, their offense is just so much better than the Patriots' offense. I think in the games against the Ravens, like you can only beat the Ravens if you score more than 30 points. Are the Patriots really going to be able to score more than 30 points? Because the Ravens' offense is scoring more than 30 points basically every week this season. That's how good Lamar Jackson is. That's how good the offense is. They are without their left tackle this week, which maybe is one weak point for the Ravens. But yeah, I'm definitely not feeling great about the Patriots this week. And I really like the Ravens as 2.5-point favorites. I think they could easily beat the Pats by more than 10 points in the Patriots home opener. So I'm pretty pessimistic about that one. By the way, I was on the money with the Pats last week. I was on the money with the Pats week 1. So far, I'm 2 for 2 picking the Pats games. And I'm going to be picking against them a lot this season because I'm a very pessimistic Patriots fan. But yeah, I'm pretty nervous for the game against the Ravens. Say, Pollard or Curtis Samuel? Yeah, we had this one earlier too. I'm okay going Curtis Samuel in this one. I think this one's super close. It's super close. I'm okay going Curtis Samuel, though, over Tony Pollard. PPR also is Brady QB option. No, he's not a good quarterback option at all. Honestly, I would even venture to add him to these players list. I don't want anything to do with Tom Brady this week. There's no Mike Evans. There's no Chris Godwin. We're going to see yet again another game where it's just Tom Brady complaining a lot because the offensive line is trash. They're very injured, and the receivers are also very injured. I think it's going to be another big Leonard Fournette day. Hey, Sam, Garrett Wilson or Kittle at flex. Don't start 2 tight ends. I say this every single week on this live. In basically any situation, just don't start 2 tight ends. Tight ends are so brutal in fantasy. Like, it's already hard enough with 1 tight end. Like, don't do it to yourself. Don't start 2. Don't start 2 tight ends. You probably should be starting Kittle, though, as your main tight end. And depending, like, really, if I pull my tight end rankings, I think I have Kittle at number 4. So unless you have Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, Darren Waller, then you should be starting Kittle at your tight end slot. By the way, I have Tyler Higbee at number 5. His usage has been really, really encouraging for Tyler Higbee. Definitely have a good upside with Tyler Higbee. Still, his floor is probably close to 0 points. But guys, Tyler Higbee leads all tight ends in the NFL in targets. There's not a tight end with more targets than Tyler Higbee through 2 weeks. Who thought we would be saying that? He had 11 targets in week 1, 9 targets in week 2. Van Jefferson's out this week too, so that's even more potential opportunity for Tyler Higbee at 70 yards. He hasn't scored a touchdown yet, though. So people are kind of sleeping, I think, on Tyler Higbee still. Most targets in the NFL at the tight end position is Tyler Higbee. He's my number 5 tight end this week. I have Kyle Pitts at 7. I'm starting Kyle Pitts, but I mean, you gotta be getting a little nervous, definitely, about Kyle Pitts. He's been on my buy list though each of the last 2 weeks. I posted buy or sell 10 guys I'm buying or selling in fantasy every single Wednesday morning, along with a recap of this live. You can check out that YouTube video from last week. That's still a lot of that holds true. Who's your team? I'm a Patriots fan, a very pessimistic Patriots fan, mind you. I don't think I said this to our Patriots creator, Pat. He thought this was a little ridiculous, but I honestly don't know if the Patriots will ever win a Super Bowl again in my entire lifetime. Like that's kind of where I'm at with the Pats. I think it's very hard to win Super Bowls. I think Bill Belichick will be gone before he wins another Super Bowl. And then just like that, the Patriots could be one of the bottom teams in the NFL. I feel most optimistic about Mac Jones overall, but yeah, you're talking to one of the most pessimistic Pats fans out there, and I do think they're going to get crushed today, though I hope they prove me wrong. Hey, Sam, a great Sunday. It is always a great Sunday, man. Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for tuning into this live. This is one of my favorite things to do every single week. I plan all week. I prep all morning, but I really prep all week for just this live with all of you, so I really appreciate all of you tuning in. AJ Dillon, Damien Pierce, James Robinson. Yeah, guys, we were on Damien Pierce last week because we listened to what the Texans coaching staff was saying after week one, and they followed through with that. I believed them about that after week one, and it did come to fruition. Damien Pierce sees much more volume in week two than he did in week one, but Rex Burkhead's still going to be the third down back. There's still limited target opportunity for Damien Pierce. That's why I was fading him in redraft all season. He only had one target in week one. He only had one target in week two, but he had 15 carries in week two, and he played over double the amount of snaps in week two. He went from a 30% snap share to a 63% snap share in week two. I'm still not feeling like all that great about him this week. I think I would probably take. Let me pull up the Texans game is a very, very interesting one this week. They get the Bears, and the Bears are favorites. I would not expect the Bears to be favorites after the first 2 weeks, but here we are. The Bears are 3-point favorites against the Texans. I do think the Bears are sort of bound to bounce back, but it's definitely not a bad matchup for Damien Pierce. I think I would go AJ Dillon, though, or James Robinson still over Damien Pierce. I'd probably rank these guys this week. AJ Dillon with a slight edge, but he's definitely got a lower floor this week than James Robinson, than Damien Pierce. Because at least AJ Dillon and James Robinson, they have some path to catching passes. I don't know what the scoring setting is here. I do appreciate when you guys let me know what the scoring setting is in your start-sit questions. Like, is it points per reception, half points per reception, no points per reception? That is useful information for me. Because if this is non-points per reception, I actually think Damien Pierce gets a decent bump. But if it is points per reception, Pierce is not going to catch very many passes, and Dillon and James Robinson have a much better chance to do that. Hey, Sam, Marcus Mariota or Trevor Lawrence. Colin, I really like this one. If you're going for the floor, there's actually fewer quarterbacks with a safer floor than Mariota this week. I'd be shocked if Mariota doesn't get like at least 12 points. But Trevor Lawrence has low-key been having a second-year breakout, and nobody's really talking about it. I posted it in the things I learned in week 2 on my TikTok last week. It really one of the things I've learned through the first 2 weeks is Trevor got season, just like we expected him to. He no longer has to deal with Urban Meyer. He had no Urban Meyer this whole offseason. He has Doug Peterson now. And you look at his stats through the first few games, and you should be really encouraged. True completion percentage, he's top 10 in the NFL. Play action completion percentage, he's top 10 in the NFL. Quarterback rating, he's top 5 in the NFL. And he's finally not getting plagued by drop passes. The Jaguars led the league in drop passes last year. So far this year, they've only dropped 4. That's 8th best in the league. He really hasn't he completed 83% of his passes last week against the Colts. And J.C. Jackson is out this week. I was more excited about Trevor Lawrence, though, with Justin Herbert probably playing. It looks like Justin Herbert's not going to play. That makes this game a little bit less exciting from like a shootout perspective. But yeah, I'm still okay going Trevor Lawrence over Marcus Mariota. I still like Trevor Lawrence a lot, and I think he's a safer play when you consider the upside for both guys. This is a pretty good matchup, though, for Marcus Mariota, and it's a pretty good matchup for Kyle Pitts, and it's a pretty good matchup for Drake London, and it's a pretty good matchup for Cordero Patterson. I think all these guys can be considered against what I think is probably the worst defense in the NFL. The Seattle Seahawks without Jamal Adams is an absolute joke. Their offense is an absolute joke still. This game is, I think the Seahawks are 1-point favorites or 1-point underdogs. In this game, I'm definitely going with the Falcons there. I actually think that's one of my locks this week. I do want to pull up the Chargers depth chart really quick because it's likely Justin Herbert's going to be out, which means we're likely going to see 36-year-old Chase Daniel get the start for the Chargers. We have not seen Chase Daniel play a full game since 2022. It's been since 2020. The last time Chase Daniel played a game, and let me tell you guys, it wasn't very good. He hasn't had over 100 yards passing since 2019. So he's been in the league a long time. But yeah, I don't feel very good about Chase Daniel or the Chargers. I actually have the Jaguars winning against the spread because I don't think Justin Herbert's going to play. What's up again, Sam? Dortch or Perriman, flex, happy? I'm going Dortch. I'm going Dortch over Perriman. Enough weeks of me giving so much disrespect to Greg Dortch because he's been back-to-back pretty consistent weeks. I definitely feel better about him than Perriman. With Perriman, you're just praying he catches a long pass. But Perriman, to me, is much better chance at 0 points than Dortch. Dortch has played at least 75% of the snaps each of the first 2 weeks for the Cardinals. The corpse of A.J. Green has looked pretty terrible to start the season, just like he did most of last season. And Dortch, yeah, he's at least 4 targets each of the first 2 games. He's actually gotten over 13 fantasy points each of the first 2 weeks. I think Dortch is a pretty easy play in this one. Hey, Sam, happy football Sunday. Happy football Sunday, guys. We're not that far away from football. We're live on TikTok and YouTube right now, by the way. You can see my top 10 rankings, every single position on the YouTube live. Let me actually pull up my DraftKings lineup. I saw someone asking about the DraftKings lineup. I will pull that on the YouTube live as well. Again, you can come to the YouTube live straight from the TikTok live right in the TikTok bio. Someone's asking why not play Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen's not playing. I don't think he's playing this week. And even if he is, he's not 100%. And even if he is 100%, it doesn't look like Justin Herbert's going to play, which is why we're not starting Justin Herbert either. Both guys, let me actually pull up the latest on Keenan. Keenan Allen hamstring is questionable for week 3 against the Jaguars. Allen got into a trio of limited practice this week, so it actually looks like he will suit up. So Keenan Allen's likely going to play. But Justin Herbert is likely not going to play. Chase Daniels is who you're trusting if you're starting Keenan Allen. So you got to be really careful with Keenan Allen, who's also coming back from an injury. So yeah, I'm not feeling great about Keenan Allen. You can still start him in some situations. It does sound like he's going to play, but I'm not feeling so great about it. Curtis Samuel or Alvin Kamara. See, this is what I'm talking about with the Curtis Samuel stuff. This is getting out of control. It's getting absolutely out of control. You're starting Alvin Kamara 1,000%. If you have Alvin Kamara, guys, start him. If you have DeAndre Swift, by the way, I was telling you to bench DeAndre Swift last week because he was dealing with an ankle injury, and the coaching staff literally said he was going to get less touches last week, and he did. He only touched the ball 7 times last week. He ended up bailing us out with a touchdown. But that's not going to be the case this week. He escaped last week without injuries. And DeAndre Swift's going to be a top 10 running back again this week. So, yeah, I feel good about Swift. That's why I put him in my DraftKings lineup. And I actually feel like because he only had 7 touches last week, maybe people will be a little bit more down on Swift this week. So, here's my DraftKings lineup this week. I'm playing Patrick Mahomes. I think on DraftKings, there's so many good quarterbacks to choose from this week. I think on DraftKings, you got to be choosing one of these 3 guys, though. In tournaments, again, this is a tournament lineup. Head-to-head, I think you play Jalen Hurts in a head-to-head contest. Or a 50-50 contest. Just play Jalen Hurts. His floor is just so safe. But in a tournament, you need the ceiling outcome. I don't think Jalen Hurts has quite the same ceiling as Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes, Lamar Jackson. I actually like paying up for Pat Mahomes today on DraftKings. He's not that much more than these other quarterbacks, and I do think he's still sort of in a tier of his own in fantasy football. And maybe the Dolphins can keep up with him today, too, which would definitely bode well for Josh Allen's fantasy day. But in this lineup, I'm going Mahomes. I'm stacking with Marcus Valdes-Scantling. I actually like Scantling's prop today a decent amount as well. He has been the most played wide receiver for the Chiefs. He's run the most routes. He's played the most snaps for the Chiefs this season. So far this season, he's played 73% of the snaps for the Chiefs, but he only has 11 targets. And I think that's going to change sooner rather than later. They're going to want to keep getting Marcus Valdes-Scantling involved. He actually had 7 targets last week, but he only had 13 yards. I like stacking him with Mahomes in tournaments. I don't think he's going to be very rostered. I like Chris Olave, who leads the league in air yards. I like Kendrick Bourne this week. I actually like Kendrick Bourne this week before Jacoby Myers was out. And now Jacoby Myers is not playing this week. Big loss for the Pats. He's been their clear top receiver, really going back to even last season. Kendrick Bourne had a big play in week 1. He played twice the amount of snaps in week 2, didn't do much in week 2, but his usage did go up in week 2, and it's going to go up again in week 3 with no Jacoby Myers in a game where the Ravens, I think, are going to really dominate the Patriots. So, yeah, I'd like Kendrick Bourne in DraftKings this week. He's pretty much minimum price. I don't think many people are going to be on him. I am trying out Kyle Pitts in my DraftKings lineup again. Obviously, you got to tail that one with a lot of caution, depending on how you're feeling about Kyle Pitts. I think it's sooner rather than later than that we see Kyle Pitts be a top 3 tight end in fantasy. I think it's probably honestly going to be this week, though I do have him ranked number 7 because he's been so bad. But yeah, I do like Kyle Pitts still on DraftKings because I don't think his roster percentage is going to be very high, and his price is going down on DraftKings. Also, though, if you don't go with Kyle Pitts, I think you go with Higbee or you go with Evan Ingram. I think those are my top plays at tight end on DraftKings this week. I am going with Rashad Bateman. Again, I like the Bateman Kendrick Bourne stack, and I'm going with the Falcons defense against the Seattle Seahawks in this lineup. Download the app, guys. Appreciate that, Tyler. Pick one: Ayuka the Bazooka, Elijah Moore, Damien Pierce. And do I take a chance and start Goff over Herbert full PPR? I'm okay taking that chance, honestly. This game for the Lions is probably going to be pretty high scoring. And I don't think Herbert's going to play. The spread tells me that Herbert's not going to play. The spreads are usually pretty sharp, guys. And when the spreads came out this week, the Chargers were 10.5, 11-point favorites against the Jaguars. And now that spread is 3 points. What could move the line that much? It's Justin Herbert being out. So, yeah, I don't feel like Herbert's playing. I'm okay starting Goff over him. And you also you kind of have to make an early decision here. I don't know if the Lions are playing in one of the later games, but Herbert's playing in one of the later games today. So, like, you gotta make early decisions and potentially eat an L, but you got to make sure you're not getting 0 points. And you don't want to be starting Chase Daniels if you have to go add Chase Daniels, the backup for Herbert. So, yeah, I'm okay going with Jared Goff. And by the way, Jared Goff has been a top 10 fantasy QB so far this season. I'm actually going Elijah Moore, though, over Ayuk and over Damien Pierce. I think this could be a big Elijah Moore bounce-back week. Garrett Wilson has been the top receiver for that team so far this season. Corey Davis has been involved, too. But Elijah Moore, he's run the most routes in the entire NFL. There's not a single receiver that has run more routes than Elijah Moore. And it's actually pretty disappointing when you take that context. And he only has 12 targets. He's run the most routes in the league, only 12 targets. Doesn't have a game over 50 yards yet after what he did at the back end of last season. I think that we're going to see defenses start to focus a little bit more on Garrett Wilson, and that's going to open up some things for Elijah Moore, and probably as soon as today against the Bengals. And I actually think the Jets can beat the Bengals today. The Jets' offensive line, low-key, is better than the Bengals' offensive line. If you check out our offensive line analyzer in the WalterPicks app. Best streaming QB, Goff, Winston, Wentz, Mariota. It's Goff or it's Mariota. I wouldn't trust Winston. Wentz is definitely interesting. He's obviously been really good up to this point. But I would definitely take Mariota or Goff over him. If you're going for the safe floor, go with Mariota. He's got the rushing floor. He's playing the Seahawks. But Goff definitely has the highest ceiling of anyone on this list. The Vikings-Lions game could really be a huge shootout today. Dawson Knox or Everett, full PPR. Yeah, I'm going Knox. I'm still going Knox over Everett because I don't think Justin Herbert's playing. Bateman or Terry, I'm okay going Bateman over Terry. Tua or Burrow. This one's definitely tough. Let me pull my top 10 QBs. I actually don't think Tua's in my top 10 this week, which maybe is a mistake. Maybe he's right at number 11, though. For me, and I have Joe Burrow at number 7. I'm still okay going Burrow over Tua. And Tua does have a tougher matchup. It could be a really high-scoring game. Obviously, the Bills' offense is going to put up points. I think the Bills beat the Dolphins pretty easily today. But the Dolphins have been one of the highest teams in pass rate over expectation, meaning they're passing the ball a lot. Even in situations where we usually expect the Dolphins to run, they're throwing the ball. And that's a great sign for the Dolphins offense. It's a great sign for Tua. But the matchup is still way better for Burrow. This week, I'm okay going with Burrow. By the way, I got to mention this. We talked about Amon-Ra St. Brown last week on this live stream and what he was about to do, and he did last week, joining a list of prime Antonio Brown, prime Michael Thomas, and Amon-Ra St. Brown of guys that have had at least 8 catches in 8 consecutive games. Well, going to the even more elite tier, past Amon-Ra St. Brown, guys, Cooper Kupp, he has had 15 straight games with at least 90 yards. Absolutely insane. And he could be the first player today in the history of the NFL to go 16 straight games with at least 75 yards. And again, check out this stat that I'm sharing right now. I think it was and this is just regular season because he did actually have only 60 yards in the first playoff game last season, but this is only looking at the regular season. He had over 90 yards every single game last year in the regular season. He's had over 100 yards each of the games so far this season. Like, it's crazy. The streak that Cooper Kupp is on is absolutely insane. He's had arguably the best wide receiver run ever, and we're going to see that conclude today, where he goes over 90 yards again. And we might never see a streak like this ever again. The pure consistency what Cooper Kupp has been able to do is so impressive. It's so impressive. And it's why Cooper Kupp has to be. He has to be the number one guy in any wide receiver ratings. If you're looking at any wide receiver ratings out there and Cooper Kupp isn't number one, then I would move on from those rankings. I would not trust those rankings at all. Cooper Kupp's really in his own tier, and there's some really good receivers, obviously, in the NFL, but Cooper Kupp's still really in his own tier. Good morning, Sam, Bateman, Juju, Allen Robinson, Garrett Wilson, full PPR pick 1. Good morning, Mason. Honestly, I think I would probably rank these guys in somewhat of this order. It's definitely a really close one, but I'm leaning Bateman. Again, I think Bateman's still really slept on. Juju versus Bateman's really close. For me, I still think I would probably lean Bateman. I think Bateman's ceiling is higher than Juju's, maybe somewhat similar floors. Bateman's prop, by the way, is still too low. Let me read you just some of the numbers on Bateman and why I'm so high on him. I already thought he was really good heading into the season. But so far this season, he's only seen a 20% target share. Like, that's not like a huge target share. But he's so efficient with his targets that I think you have to be strongly considering him every single week. He's the 4th most efficient receiver this season on a route run basis. He's averaging 3.7 yards per route run. That's 4th highest in the NFL. His yards per reception leads the NFL. He's averaging 28 yards per reception. And part of the reason is his average depth of target, how deep he's seeing his targets is really high, 16.1 yards average depth of target. That's 10th highest in the league. So he's not getting targeted an insane amount. But when he is getting targeted, he's getting targeted deep down the field, and he's making the most of those opportunities. He had 108 yards and a touchdown last week, and he was blazing fast on that play. The Patriots, one of their biggest weaknesses on defense is speed. They lack some speed on defense, and that's not good against Rashad Bateman. It's not good against Lamar Jackson. I'm okay going with Rashad Bateman this week. You're getting a really high ceiling with Rashad Bateman. Juju's floor is probably a little safer than. They're much different types of players. Juju's running much safer types of routes. Hey, Sam, good luck. TD question. PPR flex, Lazard, Judy, London. Yeah, I would rank them in reverse order here. I would go London, Judy, Lazard. And Judy is a guy I really liked heading into the season. He did pick up a shoulder injury last week. Does look like Judy's going to play this week, but I'm still going London over him. London's looked like a true alpha wide receiver. If there's any rookie wide receiver you can feel most confident in, and I feel confident about all the top rookie wide receivers. But if there's any rookie wide receiver you can feel most confident in, it's got to be London. He's the clear top receiver on his own team already. Why not Allen? So the main reason I'm not playing Keenan Allen is Justin Herbert's not playing. He's almost definitely not playing. There's I'd say a 30% chance. Justin Herbert plays. But this is the tough part for your fantasy football decisions is this game's later in the day. So you're really going to have to make a lot of these start-sit decisions with the Chargers players by the start of the games. And they don't play till the later part of the day. So Eastern, that's like 4:30, 4:15 time. But most of the games start right at 1 if you're on the East Coast. Without Justin Herbert, I feel horrible about starting Keenan Allen. Sure, he could still have an okay day. Maybe he's more like a wide receiver 3 than a wide receiver 1. But he also is dealing with his own hamstring injury. Keenan Allen didn't play last week, and that also concerns me a little bit. I think that adds even more risk for Keenan Allen. So now we're starting Keenan Allen coming off a hamstring injury without Justin Herbert. No, I'm not feeling too great about that. I would start Olave over Keenan Allen. I would start Traylon Burks over Keenan Allen. I would start Garrett Wilson over Keenan Allen, and I would start Drake London over Keenan Allen. All those rookies I would start over him. There's so many receivers I would prefer that I think have at least a similar floor but a much higher ceiling without Justin Herbert playing. And again, I'm taking a big assumption here. We don't know Justin Herbert's not playing. He's a true game time decision, but again, that game's later in the day. But what I do know is that the spread for this game started at 10.5 points. The Chargers were 10.5 point favorites against the Jaguars, and now that spread is at 3 points. What does that tell me? It tells me that Justin Herbert's not playing, or that there's a very good chance that he's not playing, or that even if he plays, he's not at even close to 100%. Enough that Vegas is moving the spread all the way to 3 points. If Herbert plays, then would you start him? Yeah, 100%. 100%. If Herbert plays, you got to start all the Chargers players. I don't know, even Justin Herbert, yeah, you're probably starting Justin Herbert if he plays. But again, I don't think he's going to play. Yarsma, how's your day going? It's going great, man. I've been up since 4 a.m. this morning. So I actually recently got a puppy. Maybe I'll be able to show her late in the stream. She's been getting me up very early, which I love. I love getting up early, especially on Sunday mornings. And she gets very excited about football Sundays, just like me. So we're up at 4 a.m. I was prepping for the stream since then. It's been a great Sunday morning. Very excited for the games today. A lot of close projected games. Let me actually pull up my picks against the spread again on the YouTube live. Probably the best way to just get a sense of how I'm feeling each way, how I'm feeling each game's going to go. Today is just coming to the YouTube Live. Again, link is right in the TikTok bio if you're watching live on TikTok. Seeing all my picks against the spread. We're 54% against the spread so far this season. All right, we got an RB2 question here. Cam Akers, Jamal Williams, or Rashad Penny. This one's really tough, man. And definitely all three. These guys have a really low floor. I don't have a very good gauge on Cam Akers right now. Obviously, week 1, he looked like dust. All of last playoffs, he looked like dust. But he did see much more usage last week. 42% snap share, 15 carries compared to a 16% snap share, 33 carries back in week 1. He didn't score a touchdown, but he did have 62 yards. Like, really encouraging week for Cam Akers. He gets the Cardinals today. I do think the Rams beat the Cardinals today. Part of me wants to say Cam Akers with this question. I don't feel great about Jamal Williams, even though he has scored some touchdowns. I think DeAndre Swift's back to full health. He's going to be back to his normal workload. And then Rashad Penny, the Seahawks, man, they draft Kenneth Walker in the 2nd round. They have Rashad Penny, who is one of the most efficient, if not the most efficient running back in the NFL in the back, like last month and a half of last season. And then who's seeing the bulk of the snaps in week 2? It's Travis freaking Homer, who plays 40% of the snaps last week, stealing so much work from Rashad Penny, stealing so much work from Kenneth Walker. Like, you can't trust Rashad Penny, man. And yeah, he could easily break a big play. Maybe he has the high ceiling among these 3 guys, but his floor is so low with Kenneth Walker and Travis Homer getting combined over 50% of the work. So I'm okay going Cam Akers, honestly. Yards right in this situation. I think I would go with Cam. Bro, Sam, we need to see Walter's pup today, please. Yeah, I'll probably bring up Riley, my new puppy, at some point towards the end of the live today. What are your thoughts on DK? I'm assuming you mean DK Metcalf, not DK like DraftKings. And yeah, you can start DK Metcalf. I don't feel horrible about him this week against the Falcons. Like, the Falcons aren't very scary of a defense. But I'm definitely just concerned about DK Metcalf's floor this season. We haven't seen him go over 10 points yet this season, but he has seen at least 6 targets in each of the first 2 games. It's only a matter of time until we see a big DK Metcalf play. So I'm okay starting DK Metcalf, but there's 2 sides to every start decision. So I'm not starting him in. I'm not forcing DK Metcalf into my lineup by any means. Should I start Dillon or Burks? This one's really close. And Gabriel, I bet if you went into the WalterPicks app and did this comparison, Walter's almost definitely going to tell you Thielen. But I kind of disagree. I actually like Burks a little bit more. I think his ceiling is a little bit higher than Adam Thielen's. Thielen, he's been out there almost every play for the Vikings. This could be a really big shootout game against the Lions, which is why almost definitely Thielen's going to project better than Treylon Burks. But Treylon Burks' arrow is pointing very much up. From week 1 to week 2, Treylon Burks played 36% of the snaps in week 1. That went up 11% in week 2, up to 47%. I think that could easily go up another 11% today, where he plays close to 60% of the snaps against the Raiders. The Titans also lose Taylor Lewan for the season, their top left tackle. They are clearly going to struggle to run the ball more than they did last season. Bad news for Derrick Henry, but maybe good news for Treylon Burks. He's only ran 29 routes. He's been the most efficient rookie wide receiver on a route run basis. And I'm telling you right now, I think he's going to run more routes this week and every week moving forward. Like, he's going to continue to run more and more routes as he gets more familiar with his offense. So I do not dislike Treylon Burks this week. I actually really like him on DraftKings too. I don't think many people are going to start Treylon Burks. Yeah, London, Sutton, or Thomas at flex. These are all really good, definitely really good options. I feel good about all of them. Let me pull up actually my exact rankings here, though, because this is definitely a close one. I imagine they're probably all within 10 ranking spots of each other for me this week. But I'm pulling it up right now because I want to see exactly where each of these guys lined up. And yeah, you got to go Courtland Sutton. I have Courtland Sutton ranked the highest. The Judy shoulder injury also gives him an interesting best case scenario. Without Judy, Sutton's just going to be locked in. Even with Judy, though, he has a pretty good chance at a touchdown this week. They get the 49ers. They've been pretty good against receivers. But I do like Judy. I like Sutton the most. After Sutton, I think I would go Michael Thomas, then Drake London. I think that's how I would rank it this week. I won't be surprised for the Falcons if this is the Kyle Pitts week, not the Drake London week. Wouldn't shock me at all. Flacco or Carr? Flacco leads the league in passing attempts. By the way, guys, we're live on YouTube and TikTok right now. Come to the YouTube Live. Link is in the TikTok bio. A little easier for me to answer your comments on YouTube. I can pull up your comment right on the screen. Ridiculous username here, by the way. We're going to go with Derek Carr. But Elijah, I'm pulling up the comment for Elijah right now, and that's right on the YouTube Live. I will answer some TikTok Live questions as well. A lot of people asking about What's going on? Why is Keenan Allen a must bench? Why is Justin Herbert a must bench? And it's because Justin Herbert's probably not playing today. Again, the spread for the Chargers game, it went from 11-point favorites for the Chargers to 3-point favorites for the Chargers because Justin Herbert is a true game time decision and he's on the wrong side of questionable. He still might play, but he's on the wrong side of questionable. Mike Williams, Brandon Cooks, Garrett Wilson, Bateman, Pollard. Pick 4. Yeah, so you're definitely playing Mike Williams. You're definitely playing you're benching Pollard. Yeah, you're benching Pollard, especially in a PPR league. I'm playing all 4 of these other guys over Pollard, I think, this week. Jared Goff or Justin Herbert. Again, Braden. I'm okay going Jared Goff because I don't think Herbert's going to play. Let me actually refresh the Twitter machine here, see if there's any updates on the Justin Herbert situation. But based on everything I read this morning, we're not going to know about Justin Herbert till closer to kickoff, and he plays later in the day. So you've got to make a decision earlier in the day. If you have a backup option that plays at the same time, that's definitely good news. Marlon Humphrey playing today, by the way, for the Ravens. That's not good news for the Patriots. Yeah, I'm okay going Goff over Justin Herbert. Damien Pierce or Russell Gage at flex. I kind of like Gage a little bit more. Obviously, no Julio Jones. Or he's on the wrong side of questionable. No Mike Evans, no Chris Godwin. I still think Gage is the best receiver that the Bucs have. I'm not scared about Cole Beasley. I'm not starting Cole Beasley. I'm really not even thinking about Cole Beasley this week. Maybe he could carve out a role sometime soon, but I don't think so. Hey, Sam, been a year-long sub on the WalterPicks app. Vin, thanks so much, man. This is the number one way you could possibly support me is by checking out the WalterPicks app. Link to the app, by the way, it's right in the YouTube description. It's right in the TikTok bio. Really do appreciate it. Again, the number one way. Like, basically, because of the premium subscribers in the WalterPicks app, that's why I'm able to do this every Sunday morning. It's why I'm still able to keep going and doing this. So seriously, thank you so much. Quick question. For wide receiver 2, DJ Moore, Ayuk, or Olave? Yeah, I'd go DJ Moore still, I think. I would go DJ Moore. Obviously, he's been pretty disappointing. Olave maybe is a little bit more intriguing ceiling than DJ Moore, but I still think it's Elijah Moore and DJ Moore. I think both guys are going to have much better days ahead. It's a little concerning that Robbie Anderson's gotten a little bit more run than DJ Moore, a little bit more volume than DJ Moore. But guys, DJ Moore, he's been out there 100% of Baker Mayfield's dropbacks. He had 43 yards in week 1, 43 yards in week 2, 6 targets each week as well. He did bail us out with a touchdown last week, but I do think better days are ahead for DJ Moore. It's fit again, 3-year sub, 2-0, but in a tough spot right now. No RB2, but Penny, Henderson, or Edmonds. Edmonds is a really interesting dart throw this week, but Mostert got a big workload last week, so that's definitely a little concerning for Chase Edmonds. Cam Akers also got a pretty big run, and Travis Homer also got a pretty big run last week. So you're really definitely in a tough spot here with RB2. I don't see what the scoring setting is here, but if it's PPR, I'm okay going with Edmonds. I think the Bills are going to score a lot of points this week, like they will basically every single week. And so it could be more of an Edmonds than a Mostert game this week. Otherwise, I think I would go Henderson. I don't trust Rashad Penny at all right now. It's so tough to trust Rashad Penny. Hey, Sam. App says I should trade Eckler and Dotson for Swift and Garrett Wilson. How do I justify it without knowing how Wilson will play with Zach Wilson? It's a PPR league. Yeah, it's definitely tough to know how Garrett Wilson's going to mesh with Zach Wilson. Obviously, that's a big unknown for this whole Jets offense. But I will say, if you can mesh with Joe Flacco, you can probably mesh with Zach Wilson. Now, I'm not a big Zach Wilson fan, but I think he's at least as good as Joe Flacco. I think Joe Flacco is really, really, really bad, and has been for a while. He still might be a Hall of Fame QB. I don't know about that, but he's not good anymore. So I'm okay with this trade, and I actually prefer Swift over Eckler too. So I think you might be getting the best of both positions in this trade. Eckler obviously was getting drafted ahead of Swift all draft season. I'm still high on Eckler. I still think Eckler and Swift with their receiving roles are top 10 running backs in fantasy. But Swift's look better than Eckler to start this season, and Swift has a better offensive line than Eckler too. Worse offense, but better offensive line. Swift has a top 3 offensive line in the league, and Garrett Wilson, he was my number 1 wide receiver in the prospect model that I built last year. The number 1 receiver in that prospect model was Jamar Chase. I like Wilson a lot, so I'm okay doing this trade. I actually like that Walter sides with that side. What's up, Jeff Wilson or Damien Pierce? Yeah, these are definitely close ones this week. A lot of Damien Pierce questions this week. Obviously, did see more run last week, but again, in a PPR league, you got to be careful with Damien Pierce. He does not catch passes. He's had 1 target in each of his first 2 games. So that's not good if you're looking for a running back option in PPR league. I think I would go Jeff Wilson over Damien Pierce. And I have Jeff Wilson well ahead. And Jeff Wilson got a lot of run last week too. I think he had 18 carries last week. Pittman or London? Yeah, really quickly. I will address this one quickly. We're not benching Pittman. Don't bench Pittman. Do not bench Pittman. He's not in my top 10, I don't think. Receivers, he's probably right outside. Let me pull my top 10 receivers again. But he easily could have been in my top 10 receivers. He was the number 5 receiver in week 1. He is coming off an injury. But yeah, I'm definitely playing Pittman. Absolutely, I'm playing Pittman. Zeke, Stevenson, or Penny? I'm going Zeke, then Stevenson, then Penny. Curtis Samuel or Keenan Allen? Probably Keenan in that situation. Again, we don't know about the Justin Herbert stuff, though, and I don't feel great about Keenan Allen catching passes from Chase Daniel. So it's definitely close. And Mike Williams, you could be concerned about, too. Again, I'm not starting Keenan Allen in most situations because I don't think Justin Herbert's going to play. And I'm not starting Justin Herbert in any situation because I don't think he's going to play. I'm not starting Damien Harris in any situation because I think the Ravens are going to put up a lot of points against the Patriots. I think in general, when you're playing the Ravens, and I feel this way about the Bills as well, you can't beat either of those teams unless your offense is able to score over 30 points. Because both offenses each week are probably going to score over 30 points. The Ravens are probably going to go over 30 points against the Pats today. Can the Pats go over 30 points against the Ravens? Probably not. From what we've seen from their offense so far, that's bad news for Damien Harris. Because if the Pats are behind, it's going to be more of a Ramondre Stevenson type of day and more passing to the running backs. You need Damien Harris to score a touchdown for him to return value in fantasy. I'm not feeling great about that today. I'm benching Damien Harris in most situations. Drake London or Aaron Jones for flex. Yeah, you can't be benching Aaron Jones after last week, after his role in the receiving game. So tough to bench Aaron Jones. I think Campbell, London's great, but Aaron Jones has a much higher floor, even against the Bucs, than Drake London has. You're not benching Jalen Waddle. He's my number 10 receiver this week. You want pieces of this Bills-Dolphins game. And I actually think I told someone to bench Gabe Davis earlier. You should strongly consider starting Gabe Davis in most situations, too. I'm not a huge Gabe Davis fan. He only had 4 catches. In week 1, he did do really well on those, but you want pieces of this Dolphins-Bills game, guys. You want pieces of this Dolphins-Bills game. The Dolphins have been top 3 in the league in pass rate over expectation, meaning when a lot of teams in the league are running, they're passing. First down, Dolphins are passing at a really high rate. Second and short, Dolphins are passing at a really high rate. The Dolphins are being extremely aggressive, throwing the ball. And this is a great sign for the entire offense. It's a great sign for Tua. It's a great sign for Tyreek. It's a great sign for Waddle. Obviously, though, the Bills' offense is also in a huge spot to smash this week. We just saw the Ravens torch the Dolphins, and the Bills are way better on offense than even the Ravens. So, yeah, I'm okay with Jalen Waddle this week. Player props. Yeah, my favorite player prop today is Dalvin Cook. Over 18.5 receiving yards. You can find this on PrizePicks. I think you can still find it on Underdog if that hasn't moved yet. I like all the Dalvin Cook props today, to be honest with you. I think Dalvin Cook has a massive day. Today, if I pull up my running back rankings, you'll see Dalvin Cook. Look where Dalvin Cook is in my running back rankings. It goes CMC, then Dalvin Cook. And that's not where Cook has been so far this season, but I think that's where he could be today. His usage has actually been okay, which is the more important thing at the beginning of the season is to look at how players are being used, not necessarily how they produced. Dalvin Cook has run the 4th most routes at the running back position this season. Only 3 running backs have run more routes out of the backfield than Dalvin Cook. He's played 70% of the snaps. That's the 7th highest rate in the NFL. He's averaging 18.5 receiving yards per game, but he's also averaging 3.5 catches per game. And we've seen the Lions be so bad against running backs already this season. So, yeah, I really like Dalvin Cook. Today, over 18.5 receiving yards. Dalvin Cook's had at least 5 targets in each of his first 2 games. There's very few running backs you can say that about. Dillon or Bateman? I'm going Bateman over Dillon this week. This is possibly the worst possible matchup for A.J. Dillon. I still am starting him in some situations. I'm not telling you A.J. Dillon's a must-bench player, but I'm definitely nervous about him against the Bucs. They've been so good up front. And A.J. Dillon's really going to have to get it done in the receiving game today. Definitely still possible. He's been pretty involved as a receiver out of the backfield, but I like Bateman more. A lot of people asking in the TikTok live, why are we benching Keenan Allen? Why are we benching Justin Herbert? It's because Justin Herbert is injured. He hurt his ribs, and it's looking like he's on the wrong side of questionable today. Reading this tweet from Adam Schefter, definitely something to think about if you have Tua, if you have Tyreek, or if you have Waddle. The Buffalo Bill projected starting secondary today. They have a cornerback who is a rookie, first-round pick. They have another cornerback who's a rookie 6th-round pick. And then their safeties are both 6th-round picks. So the Bills' secondary is absolutely ravaged today. I saw Their safety's out for the season too, which is definitely bad news for the Bills. Even more shootout potential for these Bills games. But again, the Dolphins have been throwing at such a high rate. This is the thing that I think you've got to give Mike McDaniel a lot of credit for. He's coming in and he instantly putting an innovative 21st century offense, implementing that into the Dolphins offense. They've had the third highest pass rate over expectation in the NFL. This is really one of the best stats to look at for offenses that know what they're doing, because it's really clear if you look at it from an analytical perspective, passing is way more efficient than running. So, yeah, maybe you should call more passing plays with that knowledge, and you should build your offense around passing. We've seen all the top NFL teams in the league do this. And the Dolphins are doing it too. And, yeah, they're going to be able to keep up potentially with the Bills' offense today. I still think the Bills win, though, this game. I'm taking them against the spread in this game. But, yeah, you got to feel good about Tua and Waddle and Tyreek. And, guys, absolutely insane. I saw this. I think it was maybe Ian Rappaport that tweeted this out this morning. But the top 3 receivers in receiving yards this season, Stephon Diggs, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, all playing in the same game. That's almost never happened. I don't think that's ever happened in a week 3 game. The top 3 receivers all playing in the same game through 2 weeks. These 3 receivers lead the league, top 3 receivers in receiving yards. Diggs, Waddle, Tyreek Hill. I think it's actually Diggs, Hill, then Waddle in terms of the order. But yeah, absolutely insane. It's going to be a really exciting game. I still think the Bills win, but their secondary makes it a much better opportunity for Tua. T-Law, Mariota, or Tua pick 1, 14-man. Yeah, I think I was just telling someone potentially to go T-Law over Tua. After reading this secondary report and just talking through what I just talked through, I'm going Tua. I think you play Tua. I think his ceiling's really high. Pick 2, Olave, Edmonds, Gage, Corey Davis. Yeah, I'd go Olave and probably Gage. I'd probably go Olave and Gage with this one. I actually like Gage as a sleeper this week. Let me pull up some more numbers on Tua. Hall, Penny, and Akers, which 2 to start? I'd probably go Akers and Hall. I don't trust Penny at all. Again, Penny could break a big play for sure. He's obviously really capable of that, but don't feel amazing about it. All right, guys, listen to this. Through the first 2 weeks of the season, Tua Tagovailoa. I don't know if I say that right. Tua Tagovailoa. It's like I've heard Tagovailoa, but it reads like Tagovailoa. Number 4 in the league in pass attempts, 83 pass attempts. He leads the league in passing yards. He's number 3 in the league in yards per attempt. He has the 3rd highest deep ball completion percentage in the entire league. His quarterback rating is the 2nd best in the league. His passer rating is the 3rd best in the league. Tua's looked really good. Yeah, I think you can definitely start him this week against the Bills in their ravaged secondary. Russ or Winston or Aaron Rodgers? I'd go Russ over Winston and Aaron Rodgers. Hey, Sam. Start Michael Thomas or Jane Waddle. Also Joe B or Tua. Yeah, this is the one I think I responded to earlier. Let me actually, I got to adjust this, I think. I got to adjust on the fly here. Because I do like Tua, I think, more than Joe Burrow this week. Which is going to bump Russ out of my top 10. So Russ is now number 11 in my QB rankings. Let me pull my QB rankings again. You can see these live on the YouTube Live. If you're watching live on TikTok, come to the YouTube Live. You get way more info. It's still right on your phone. You're like 2 presses of your finger away from the YouTube Live. And you can see my top 10 rankings, every position, my favorite picks against the spread, my favorite player prop picks, my DraftKings lineup, all on the YouTube Live. Again, the link is right in the TikTok bio. But yeah, you got to start Tua, I think, over Joe Burrow this week. I'm okay doing that. Tua, his matchup just got a lot better with the injuries for the Bills. And that's why I made these adjustments. The Bills are starting 3 6th-round picks in their secondary today. Mike Williams or Noah Brown, PPR? Yeah, you got to go Mike Will. You got to go Mike Williams. Again, people asking, why no Keenan Allen? Why no Justin Herbert? Because Justin Herbert's hurt. He's hurt. And he's probably not going to play today. And that's bad news for Keenan. It's bad news for Mike Williams too. But Keenan Allen's also dealing with his own injury, his own hamstring injury. That kept him out last week. So that's even more concerning for Keenan. I'm more concerned about Keenan than Mike. But yeah, I think you can strongly consider benching Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. And I think you need to bench Justin Herbert. If you're watching live on YouTube, by the way, smash the like button. Smash the subscribe button. We're trying to hit 10,000 YouTube subscribers this season, and we're really close. Really, really close. Really do appreciate it. You skipped me. You had it up, but you didn't answer, Zach. I do this sometimes. Sometimes I ramble. I get distracted. So I apologize for that. Do I start Dobbins? Because I have Connor, but he's a game-time CA. Can't really trust James Conner. But it does sound like he's going to play. I wouldn't start Dobbins. Zach, I wouldn't start Dobbins. I would start James Conner over Dobbins. The last I read about Conner was that he was on the right side of questionable. He is testing it out pregame, and it actually sounded a few days ago like he was on the wrong side of questionable. But yeah, you cannot trust Dobbins this week. Dobbins is not a guy you can trust based on everything they've done with J.K. Dobbins. You can't feel so good that they're gonna just give him a full workload in his first game. They've been so slow to ease J.K. Dobbins back into the starting lineup, into a real game, that I don't feel very strongly that he's going to get over 10 carries today. He already isn't a guy that gets very many targets. So, yeah, I'm not starting J.K. Dobbins this week. Maybe next week, depending on how he looks, but definitely not this week. So, yeah, I'm okay going with Conner. And if you have James Conner and you're nervous about the injury, then pick up Eno Benjamin or Darrell Williams as a backup option in case he doesn't go. But I do think James Conner is going to play today. Herbert took a pain-killing shot before Thursday's practice and it helped. And he's willing to do that again if necessary. Again, just look at the spread. All you got to do is look at the spread for this Justin Herbert and Chargers offense today to really feel strongly about what to do. Because we're seeing all different reports about Justin Herbert. He wants to take a painkiller shot, and he wants to tough it out this week against the Jaguars. But again, the spread started at 11 points for the Chargers, and now it's all the way down to 3. That doesn't just happen. And that's enough for me to be off of Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen, and Mike Williams today. Christian Kirk or MT, don't bench Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk's been so clearly a top 15 wide receiver in fantasy so far with his usage, and the production has followed suit too. So, yeah, definitely play Christian Kirk this week. Why bench Jacoby Myers? So, again, let me pull up this list. Let me answer this question from Carson really quickly. Yeah, this one's easy. Elijah Moore. Play Elijah Moore. And probably play Noah Brown too. I'm not starting J.K. Dobbins this week. Let's see it from J.K. Dobbins, please. Let's see it from J.K. Dobbins. We don't know if he's even going to get 10 carries this week. They've been easing him in so slowly. So let me go through the do not start list again really quickly because that is up on the TikTok live. I have it up on the YouTube live right now too. Let me actually switch to top 10 rankings first. Actually, I'll pull my DraftKings, my picks against the spread while I talk through this. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, tough to trust this week because Justin Herbert is looking on the wrong side of questionable. He might tough it out, but again, the spread tells us that moved from 11 to 3. Justin Herbert's probably not playing today. Jacoby Myers, he's not playing today. J.K. Dobbins, he's playing today, but he's being eased in really slowly. It's really tough to trust any sort of big workload from J.K. Dobbins today. I'm not starting J.K. Dobbins. Taysom Hill, he's not playing today. Chris Godwin, he's not playing today. Cole Beasley, he's playing today, but please don't start Cole Beasley. Julio Jones, he's on the wrong side of questionable again. Even if Julio Jones plays, though, we just cannot trust Julio Jones. We've seen this so many times in the past with Julio Jones. Sammy Watkins, Christian Watson, they're not playing today. Damien Pierce is playing today, but they are underdogs at home against the Ravens. I think they should be bigger underdogs, too. They're only 2.5-point underdogs. I don't think this game script's going to be good for Damien Pierce. I don't think he's going to have a great chance at a touchdown today. And without a touchdown today, he's going to be under 10 fantasy points, and that's just not something I want in my starting line. I like Ramondre Stevenson more than Damien Pierce this week. Mike Williams or A-Rob. I'm okay going A-Rob. Why Herbert? Again, Herbert is injured. He has a very bad rib injury. That's putting him on the wrong side of questionable. It's moved the spread for this game. The Chargers were 11-point favorites, and now they're 3-point favorites, all because of this injury. There's also more injuries. J.C. Jackson's out. A lot of other injuries for the Chargers, too. But this is the big one for the Chargers, obviously. I need 2 between Olave, Perriman, Juju, Pollard, or Thielen. Who do I start full PPR? I'm starting Olave and probably Juju in this situation. Guys, don't start Rashad Bateman. Sure, Perriman may be interesting, dart throw in DraftKings. He maybe catch a big pass. But I think his floor is 0 points. So I'm not starting Perriman. I don't like starting guys. I don't think now I think people are just lying. Xavier, now I think people are just lying. I don't think I pulled this up. Maybe I pulled up your original one though that you were watching live from Cali. Flex CeeDee Lamb, Bateman, or Jeff Wilson. Also, do you start any of these guys over Big Mike if Chase Daniels is under center? I would start all of these guys, I think, over Big Mike if Chase Daniels is under center. And yeah, I think I would probably go with Lamb. I think I would probably go CeeDee Lamb, then Bateman, then Jeff Wilson. I think I would rank them in that order. And yeah, I'm okay going Bateman over Mike Williams. I'm okay going Bateman over Keenan Allen. Oh, I like this question in the YouTube live. I'll pull this up. Logan Thomas or Evan Ingram. I like Evan Ingram more than Logan Thomas. Traylon Burks or Garrett Wilson. This one's interesting. Honestly, all these rookie wide receiver questions I think are super fascinating this week. I like all the rookie receivers. It's a really tough thing to feel out with the rookie wide receivers. Obviously, they've all only played 2 games. Garrett Wilson has looked better than Traylon Burks, but he also has a lot more competition than Traylon Burks. I think Elijah Moore could easily be the guy that pops off for the Jets this week. Easily. It could even be Corey Davis. For the Titans, I would be shocked if any of the receivers popped off that isn't named Traylon Burks. This week, I still think I'd lean Garrett Wilson, though, who's played a lot more than Traylon Burks, but it's definitely close, and I think it's a fair question. But yeah, personally, I'm going with Garrett Wilson, but I wouldn't be shocked if soon enough we have to be going with Traylon Burks. Hey, Sam, I just saw a word about Herbert possibly taking pain-killing injections and playing. I don't know. Yeah, I just saw that too. Ian Rappaport reporting that Justin Herbert's decision on playing is about functionality. How close can he play to his usual game? Herbert apparently took this pain-killing injection. By the way, NFL players take these all the time. I mean, they deal with so much pain. It's crazy how much pain these guys deal with. It's honestly such a brutal sport. But Herbert, dealing with rib injuries, is really considering playing today. He wants to play. This is what it sounds like, though. From everything I've read from 4 a.m. this morning and all week up till now, everything I've read is that Justin Herbert wants to play, but nobody else wants Justin Herbert to play. Like, this is a long season. He is the center stone of the entire franchise. Do we really want to risk his ribs out there in a Week 3 game against the Jaguars? That somehow the Chargers are still favored against the Jaguars despite all of these injuries. So the Chargers might feel like they can still win without Herbert, so why would they rush him back against a game against the Jaguars? Yeah, so it's a really tough situation with Herbert, but everything I've read tells me don't trust Herbert this week. Prop of the day. Yeah, my prop of the day is Dalvin Cook, over 18.5 receiving yards. I'm really, really in on Dalvin Cook today. Just got this in the Slack to me, but I saw this morning too. All Cooper Kupp needs is 75 receiving yards today, and he'll be the first player in NFL history that will have 75-plus yards in 16 straight games. And he's actually had over 90 yards in all of those games. Like, this record's 75 yards, but he's had over 90 yards. He's setting his own records, man. He's setting his own records. So, yeah, I'm feeling pretty excited for Cooper Kupp today. Hope you're having a great Sunday, Sam. Thanks, man. James Conner, CeeDee Lamb, full PPR. Yeah, I'd go Conner. I would go Lamb. I would go Lamb over James Conner. James Conner is questionable today. Doesn't look like he's going to play, but I would go CeeDee Lamb. Pick one, Hollywood, Garrett Wilson, Hines, Juju Henderson, half PPR. Yeah, I think this one's probably between these first two guys and Juju. I wouldn't play Henderson or Hines. Or I honestly don't think I'd play Garrett Wilson in this one either. I think it's between Hollywood and Juju. If you're looking for the floor, go Juju. If you're looking for the ceiling, go Hollywood. Pitts or Gerald Everett. We got to go Pitts, man. Give Pitts one more week. Give him one more week. If you drafted Kyle Pitts, guys, just give him one more week. Because if he can't do it against the Seahawks, then I think we should be really, really, really concerned. He did have a tough 2 matchups to start the season. 2 good defenses against tight ends to start the season. We don't feel that way about the Seahawks, though. Their defense is really, really bad. So, yeah, you've got to start Pitts. PPR League, Stafford, Tua, or Brady, pick one. I have Stafford one spot ahead of Tua this week. I think you got to strongly consider Tua. Don't start Brady. Do not start Brady. Honestly, I should have put Tom Brady in my must-bench list. James Robinson or Jeff Wilson? That's actually a really close one. I think I would go with Jeff Wilson, though. I think I would go Jeff Wilson over James Robinson. Can we trust Mooney? No. I mean, we can't trust Mooney. Am I starting him in maybe one situation? Yeah, I am. But do I trust him? No, I don't. I don't trust Donovan. I don't trust anyone in the Bears. I do think the Bears are destined to bounce back, though. And, when you run projections, it's so hard to project them for less than, 40 plays. Darnell Mooney has been out there every single drop back for Justin Fields. He just, and he has an okay target share. 18% target share. It's not like that's awful, but that's amounted to 5 targets because they have barely thrown the ball. They get the Texans today. They're favored against the Texans. I don't know how the Bears are favored, honestly. I actually think I'm taking the Bears because I do think they're going to bounce back. But how are the Bears favored after the first 2 weeks? Nico Collins or Duvernay in flex? I would go Collins. We're not starting Duvernay. We went through this last week. He returned a kickoff for a TD, first play of the game. We're not starting Duvernay. Don't start Duvernay. And yeah, I would go Stafford over Tua, but it's really close. And I played both of them over Brady with ease. I'll pull my DraftKings lineup on the YouTube Live again. Again, we're live on YouTube and TikTok. Come to the YouTube Live. Get a lot more info on the YouTube Live. DraftKings lineup, player prop picks, picks against the spread. My top 10 rankings, every position, scrolling at the bottom of the screen. Just a little more flexibility on the YouTube Live. Why not Keenan Allen? Why not Justin Herbert? It's because Justin Herbert's probably not going to play. And even if he does play, even if he does play, he's playing very injured. He's taking pain meds. He's playing injured, high risk of re-injury. And again, I don't think he's going to play. That's really the main thing. I don't think he's going to play. He wants to play. Clearly, he wants to play. But I don't think the Chargers are going to force him to play. Been here for 1.5 hours. Caleb, thanks, man. Seriously, thank you everyone that's tuned in right now. Absolutely love these live streams, and they wouldn't be possible without you. Pick 2. Bench 2. Sorry, Bateman, CD, Curtis, Samuel, Gabe Davis, Juju. Yeah, bench Curtis, Samuel. And I'd probably bench Gabe Davis. I think it's Gabe Davis or Juju that you're going to bench, though. And I don't feel great about benching Juju. I think I would bench Gabe Davis. Hey, Sam, pick 2. Judy, A-Rob, or Juju, full PPR, 100-yard bonus. 100-yard bonus makes me like Judy a little bit more in this situation. I'm okay going Judy and Juju in this one. Mike Williams or Jerry Judy, questionable. Mike Williams is not questionable, but Justin Herbert is questionable. So that's almost even worse than Mike Williams being questionable. I'm okay going with Mike Williams, though, in this one. Sam, I need your help. Goff or Carr in at flex. Pick 2. Kamara, Olave, McScorin, Bateman, or Kirk. Yeah, definitely an interesting one. I personally have Derek Carr ahead of Jared Goff. I think both are definitely in play this week. I think both are good options, but I would go Derek Carr. And then you got to start Alvin Kamara. Guys, everyone, if you have Alvin Kamara, you have to start Alvin Kamara. He's back this week. Play him. And then I'd probably go Christian Kirk, honestly, alongside Alvin Kamara in this one. Christian Kirk has been so good, guys. He's really looked so good. He was one of the guys I was highest on too this offseason. I actually posted a video like really early in the offseason that I thought he was the most underrated receiver in all of fantasy. And that's kind of come to fruition so far. He's averaging 21.8 fantasy points per game. That's 8th most in the NFL. He only saw 6 targets last week, but he still had 2 touchdowns. Like his usage is so encouraging. They have had a couple good matchups to start the season against the Commanders, against the Colts. But yeah, I'm okay starting Christian Kirk again this week. I think he's kind of a must start right now in fantasy. 12-team BPR, Hollywood, MT, Gabe Davis. Pick 1. Yeah, this one's definitely tough too. I think I would probably lean towards Michael Thomas though. Yeah, I think I would go Michael Thomas in this one. I have Michael Thomas ahead of Gabe Davis. I feel like I'm going to be telling people to bench Gabe Davis all offseason. I do want to talk through some of these games. So I will get to as many start-sit questions as I can on this live. I've probably gotten to at least 100, honestly, already. Again, if I don't get to your questions, look at the top 10 rankings that are scrolling at the bottom of YouTube Live. If you're not on the YouTube Live, if you're watching live on TikTok, come to the YouTube Live. You're like 2 presses of your finger away. Link is right in the TikTok bio. You can see my top 10 rankings, every single position. I'll pull up my tight ends right now. But I do want to talk through just some of these games and what I'm looking for and sort of what I'm expecting in these games. First off, we have the Chiefs. They're 5.5-point favorites against the Colts. Colts scored 0 points against the Jaguars last week. For whatever reason, the Jaguars are just the Colts' kryptonite. I think the Chiefs destroy the Colts this week too. I think that Mahomes could be the number 1 overall quarterback this week. He has that within his range of outcomes for sure. I also think Marcus Valdes-Scantling, interesting like sleeper this week. He's actually ran the most routes in the receiving room for the Chiefs. Hasn't been Juju. It has been Marcus Valdes-Scantling, who's run 60 routes, 80% of Mahomes' dropbacks. Meanwhile, Juju Smith-Schuster has run actually the exact amount of routes, 60 routes. So they've actually tied for the lead in routes run. Correction there. But yeah, Scantling's running much deeper down the field. I think Scantling has a good chance to beat his prop today. I think it's around 45.5. Receiving yards, I'm definitely taking the Chiefs in that game. The Jets, +6 against the Bengals. If you guys haven't checked it out yet, you got to check out the offensive line analyzer in the WalterPicks app. Just launched yesterday. It's completely free. It'll be free all season. And when you compare the Jets offensive line and the Bengals offensive line this week, the Jets offensive line is actually much better than the Bengals offensive line. I'm not saying that the Jets for sure will beat the Bengals, but I think it's more possible than people realize. All of a sudden, the Bengals 0-3 off a loss to the Jets, and man, what a different start to the season for the Bengals all of a sudden. I do think the Jets low-key could beat the Bengals. I like them +6 in this game. I think Elijah Moore could show up for the first time this season in this game. I still like Garrett Wilson a lot as well. I wouldn't be trusting Breece Hall very much in this game. I think Michael Carter is pretty clearly the top guy in the backfield right now. Obviously, Breece Hall is capable of breaking any big play at any moment. He's like a mini Saquon Barkley clone. but I'm still liking Carter a little bit more than him. I'm not starting Joe Flacco in any situations. I am starting Joe Burrow in some situations. I like T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, obviously, this week too. And Joe Mixon, you got to start as well. The Bills, 4.5-point favorites against the Dolphins. They're starting 3 6th-round picks in their secondary. This feels a little bit like last week when we were talking about the Ravens missing 4 of their top 5 corners against the Dolphins. All of a sudden, Dolphins play the Bills now. They're without 3 of their starting secondary players. Very concerning for the Bills' defense. I think the Dolphins could keep up with the Bills. I still think the Bills' offense is going to go bananas in this game, just like they will most weeks. They're so aggressive, very, very efficient passing offense. Diggs leads the league in receiving yards. Who's number 2? Tyreek Hill. Who's number 3? Jalen Waddle. All 3 guys in the same game. That's almost never happened. I don't think it's ever happened. I didn't actually look back to see that that's ever happened. I did see a tweet about it. I think you can report this morning. But it wouldn't shock me at all if that's never happened. 3 players that all lead the league in receiving all in the same game. I mean, man, that's absolutely insane. And maybe that's still the case after this week 2 with this game and how that's shaping up. I'll pull up my top 10 receivers on the screen right now. By the way, we'll see Among Us St. Brown making his debut inside the top 8 receivers this week. I mean, he just continues to ball. Man, you got to be trusting Among Us this week too. Let me pull up another comment here. Breece Hall, Damien Pierce, and A-Rob or Olave. I like Olave more than Allen Robinson by a tiny, tiny bit. I actually think Allen Robinson projects better, though, probably than let me actually check. Allen Robinson, yeah, he's projected for 11. Olave projected for closer to 9. So Robinson's definitely a little bit safer, but I like the ceiling for Olave a lot. And then Damien Pierce I would bench in that situation too. Traylon Burks or Alan Lazard. I like Burks more than Lazard. Zeke or Damien Pierce. I think you kind of have to start Zeke, guys. I think you kind of have to start Zeke this week in a lot of situations. In a lot of situations, I think you need to be starting Zeke. I know it's been a tough start for him, but the Giants aren't that scary of a matchup for them this week. Morning, Sam. Good morning, Jacob. Mark Andrews or Higbee. Got to play Andrews. Quadzilla, Cordero Patterson or Curtis Samuel at flex. Full PPR. Also, I'm in a 2 QB league with Herbert, Geno Smith, Chase Daniel, Mac Jones, or Flacco. LOL, this hurts to ask. Thanks, buddy. Yeah, this is you're really in a tough spot without Herbert. And Herbert might play. And if Herbert plays, obviously you got to go with Herbert. And that makes me feel like, and I don't have the exact times in front of me, but I would obviously check out the times of when these games are actually pulled up. I do have it right in front of me. So the Chargers play later in the day today. Their game's at 4:05 Eastern. And I think all these other quarterbacks play at 1. Patriots play at 1. The Jets play at 1. And the Seahawks don't play at 1. The Seahawks are playing at 4:25. So, yeah, you can maybe go Geno. I'd probably play Geno over Chase Daniels. So, yeah, I think that's the play, Jacob. You hold out hope for Herbert. If he doesn't play, go Geno. And Geno actually plays later than Herbert today. So you will know the Herbert news officially before you have to put Geno Smith in there. But you're going to have to be watching that closely. As for the first question, I actually would lean Quadzilla over Patterson, over Curtis Samuel. I think all 3 guys have interesting chances today. Quadzilla is a tough matchup for him. This is probably the toughest matchup of the season for Quadzilla against the Bucs front 7, who have been so good at stopping the run. But I still think Quadzilla and Aaron Jones will account for 30% of the targets for the Packers today. Obviously, Aaron Jones is a slightly better bet in that category, but yeah, I'm okay going Quadzilla in a game that I think the Packers are going to need to generate some offense with their running back still. Rashad Penny or ETN, I'm not trusting Penny this week. It's actually not a bad matchup for him against the Falcons, but it's so tough to start a Seahawks running back after Travis Homer played 40% of the snaps and got all the receiving work last week. So brutal, so brutal. Don't start Penny. Don't start Penny until we see a slightly safer workload from him. He still has a high ceiling because he can break huge plays at any given moment, especially against the Falcons, but the floor is so low for Rashad Penny. 3 spots. Curtis Samuel, McScoren, Bateman, and Kirk. Yeah, bench Curtis Samuel. All 3 of these guys are so much better than Curtis Samuel. I mean, the fact that we're thinking about Curtis Samuel over McScoren is honestly just a little bit ridiculous. And I know he's been better each of the first 2 weeks, but let's not overreact to production. We know McScoren is better than Curtis Samuel. Mike Williams or T. Higgins, PPR, I'd go T. Higgins. I'm nervous about the Chargers, guys. I'm nervous about the Chargers. Quarterbacks with rib fractures. This was just tweeted by Warren Sharp. They missed an average of 1.5 games. Their passing yards per game declined, typically 10 to 15% in their first couple games back. So I'm nervous for the Chargers. Just in, Josh Jacobs, who is questionable. He's active today. I actually like Josh Jacobs a lot. I think you've got to start Josh Jacobs this week against the Titans. I think that I have the Raiders beating the Titans this week. Let's get to, I just saw Josh Jacobs' question. Let me pull that one up, actually. Jacobs is going to play today. Yep, let me pull this comment up. Josh Jacobs is playing. He's playing, and he didn't travel with the team. He had some sort of illness this week, but he did make it there, and he's playing. He traveled there by himself after the team. Dortch or Judy? Got to go Judy over Dortch. Keenan or Olave PPR? I'm okay going Olave over Keenan. Again, I don't think Herbert's going to play. If Herbert plays, though, I'm playing Keenan over Olave. Especially, like, if Herbert plays, you got to think about this, too. Herbert's dealing with rib injury. And if he plays, it feels like that's going to benefit Keenan much more than it's going to benefit Mike Williams. Like, honestly, if Herbert plays, you got to bench Mike Williams, and you can think about starting Keenan. If Herbert doesn't play, you should bench probably both Keenan and Mike Williams. Why bench Jacoby Myers? He's not playing today. He is not playing today. Most of the guys on this list aren't playing today. Keenan Allen's questionable. He's going to play, but he's dealing with a hamstring injury. I think that does give him a little bit more risk today, too. Let me pull up this list on YouTube, too, so you guys can see through. I know I've talked through this list a decent amount today. But Justin Herbert, he's on the wrong side of questionable. He still might play. He clearly wants to play. But I don't think he's going to end up playing. And the reason I don't think he's going to end up playing is you just go look at the spread. Go look at the spread for this game. This game opened, the Chargers were 11-point favorites when these spreads came out at the end of last week. Today, right now, the Chargers at home against the Jaguars are 3.5-point favorites. That line has moved almost 8 points. It's moved 8 points. And why did it move 8 points? Well, one, J.C. Jackson's not playing, but much bigger than J.C. Jackson not playing. By the way, that's good news for Christian Kirk and the Jaguars offense and Trevor Lawrence. Justin Herbert's probably not going to play. That's what this spread tells me. So I'm not feeling good about Justin Herbert today, or Keenan Allen, or Mike Williams. Again, if Herbert plays, you probably should start him in most situations, and you can still start Keenan if Herbert plays, but I wouldn't start Mike Williams. If Herbert, I'm pretty nervous about Mike Williams. Honestly, I probably should put Mike Williams as the Keenan. I put Keenan on this list, this do not start list, though, because he's dealing with his own hamstring injury, and that does have me a little concerned. Jacoby Myers, he's not playing today. J.K. Dobbins, his first game back. Don't start J.K. Dobbins, guys. He could easily see fewer than 10 touches. They've been easing him back in so slowly that it's so tough to trust him getting any sort of sizable workload today. Taysom Hill, he's not playing today. Chris Godwin, he's not playing today. Cole Beasley's playing today, but he just joined the team. And I don't think he has any sort of ceiling. I think his floor is 0 points, and his ceiling is like 12. So, yeah, I want nothing to do with Cole Beasley this week. Julio Jones, he's on the wrong side of questionable again. Even if he plays, do not start Julio Jones. Sammy Watkins, Christian Watson, they're both out today, this week as well. And then Damien Harris, I think the Ravens are going to get an early lead, a big lead against the Pats, and that's not going to be good for Damien Harris. I don't think he scores a touchdown today. Morning Sam, Kittle at flex, or put Lockett or Ramondre. Another league, should I play Juju or MVS, and Everett or Logan Thomas? I hate starting 2 tight ends, man. I won't do it. I will not do it. I'd rather Lockett or Ramondre than George Kittle. And I like George Kittle this week. I think in most situations, you're starting George Kittle at tight end. I have him as my number 4 tight end this week. So I'm only starting Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, Darren Waller over George Kittle. Then I'm playing George Kittle. But I'm not starting him at flex. Tight ends are so bad. Don't do this to yourself. Don't start 2 tight ends. Don't start 2 tight ends. But do start George Kittle at your tight end slot in almost every situation. I would play Mondre, though, probably over Lockett. Another league, should I play Juju or MVS? I would play Juju over MVS, but I do think MVS's ceiling is a little higher because he's getting slightly deeper targets down the field. But I'd still play Juju, especially in a PBR league. Then Everett or Logan Thomas, I would probably go with Everett without this Justin Herbert news. With this Justin Herbert news, I think it's really, really tough. It's really close. And we're not going to know the result of like whether or not Justin Herbert's playing or not until it's too late to make this decision, because the Commanders play at 1 and the Chargers play at 4. Which makes me think it's okay to play Logan Thomas in this situation. Pick 2, Hollywood Brown, CD, Ayuka, the Bazooka. Yeah, I'd go the first 2, Evan. And I kind of think that Ayuka the Bazooka might benefit from Jimmy G starting, but I still like CD and Hollywood Brown's floor and ceiling, I think, more than Ayuk the Bazooka. We got some tough decisions to make with Darnell Mooney this week. By the way, guys, we're live on YouTube and TikTok right now. On the YouTube live, I answer questions from both lives throughout the whole stream, and I'll be live basically right up till kickoff. But the YouTube live is a little bit better of a viewing experience because you see my top 10 rankings at every position scrolling at the bottom of the screen, which answers a lot of start-sit questions right there. You also see my favorite picks against the spread, my favorite player prop picks, my DraftKings lineup, and I can pull up your comments right on the screen too on YouTube. So come over to the YouTube live if you are watching live on TikTok. Link is right in the TikTok bio. So you're like 2 presses of the finger away from the YouTube live. Kittle or Pitts? I have Kittle over Pitts this week. And man, I think I just threw up in my mouth just a little bit saying that because I drafted so much Kyle Pitts in best ball this season. Again, I did almost 500 best ball drafts this year on Underdog. And in over 200 of those drafts, I have Kyle Pitts. There's no start-sit decisions in those leagues, so I don't have to sweat the start-sits. But, I mean, I think this is going to be a Kyle Pitts week. I think this is the week Kyle Pitts is going to bounce back. Sorry, I just left that question. I do apologize for that. Let me see if I can find that one again. It's going to be tough to find. I did see Ayuk in that question. But, yeah, I think I lost it. I do apologize for that. Knox and Kamara playing. Yeah, both guys playing. Looks like both guys playing. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to find that question I just had up on the YouTube live, though I don't love Ayuk the Bazooka over the guys that you had listed there, if I recall correctly. McScoren, Gage, or Dillon. I would go McScoren, then Dillon, then Gage, I think, this week. I do like Gage as a sleeper, but I don't love him over either of those two guys. I'm starting A.J. Dillon in some situations. Again, let me pull up my top 10 running backs. Last week, A.J. Dillon was in my top 10 running backs, and he did come through with 20 touches, didn't score a TD, though. This week, A.J. Dillon's not in my top 10 running back because the matchup's not good for A.J. Dillon. But there is two sides to every start-sit decision. So in some scenarios, it is okay to start A.J. Dillon. I still think he could easily get 15 touches this week. And I think he could easily be involved in the receiving game. But this is a bad matchup for A.J. Dillon. So, yeah, you can bench A.J. Dillon this week. Probably one of the few weeks that it's going to be okay to bench A.J. Dillon. Sam, Ayuk, Penny, or A-Rob, full PPR. I say A-Rob, then Ayuk, then Penny. Penny's floor is so low. Travis Homer saw 40% of the snaps last week, guys. 40%. Start Alvin Kamara. 100%. James Conner playing. It looks like he is going to play. But he is questionable, so that we don't know that for sure yet. Hawk or Herb, already running Goff and Sun God. Love that. In which case, I'm okay going Herb. Knowing that you started Goff and Sun God, let's like diversify away from the lines just a little bit. And let's go with Irv Smith. Perriman or Juju? Gotta be Juju, man. It's gotta be Chris Murphy. It's gotta be Juju over Perriman. If that's the Chris Murphy, I think it is, man. Thanks for tuning in. Aaron Jones, Fournette, MT, Sutton, Pitts, pick 3 to start. Again, I'm not starting 2 tight ends. Don't start 2 tight ends. Don't do this yourself. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Don't start 2 tight ends. If you want to start Pitts in your tight end slot, go ahead and do that. I think Pitts could have a good week this week. But tight ends floors are so low that you should never start 2 tight ends in almost any situation. Aaron Jones, Fournette, MT, Sutton. In this one, I think you probably bench MT and you start Jones, Fournette, and Sutton. I think that's probably the safest floor, highest ceiling thing to do there. I'm starting Juju and Olave over Curtis Samuel. I think I like Juju's floor the best out of these 3 guys. Though, should I start Edmonds, Pollard? I also have Mike Williams. What should I do with him? I like Pollard, I think, a little bit more than Edmonds. This week, Mostert did get a lot more run in week 2, which is definitely concerning for Edmonds' floor this week. I do like Olave's ceiling, too. That was the last question. Mike Williams is tough to trust with Chase Daniel potentially starting for the Chargers today again. It sounds like Herbert wants to go. He wants to take pain meds. He wants to tough it out. But the tough thing with Mike Williams is if Justin Herbert plays with his rib injury, maybe that is going to limit his deep passing ability. Maybe that makes it a better Keenan Allen day. And then if Justin Herbert doesn't play that, I mean, that's also not good for Mike Williams. It's not like the Jaguars secondary is too scary, but I would be looking in another direction from Mike Williams and Keenan Allen today. Start 2 full PPR, MT, Sutton, Kirk. Yeah, I'd go the last 2. I'd start Sutton and Kirk over Michael Thomas. And I like Michael Thomas a lot, but I'm not starting him over either of those guys. Been here for 2 hours, Rocco. We've been live for an hour and a half. So were you here 30 minutes before the live started? No, thanks so much for tuning in, man. London or DK at flex? Yeah, I'm not starting DK. I'd go London over DK. I would go DK though in this situation. I think I would go DK over Burks and J-Rob. Definitely this one's much closer though. I like London more than Burks. I do like Burks today, but I don't think I like him more than DK Metcalf against the Falcons. It's certainly close. J-Rob probably is the safest floor though among these three guys. This one's actually really close. Actually, let me see where DK. Yeah, in my projections for sure, DK Metcalf's higher than these guys. I think you got to go DK. It's only a matter of time until we see a big play from DK Metcalf. Connor or Clyde, long TD bonus. Yeah, Clyde did break a couple long plays. Last week he had over 100 yards. Connor coming into this game questionable too. This one's super close for sure. I do think Connor projects much better though than Clyde, so I think I'd probably go Connor over Clyde. Kirk or Juju, I'd go Kirk. Guys, don't bench Christian Kirk. Again, he's been the number 8 receiver so far this season. He scored 2 touchdowns last week. He had 11 targets the week before that. Like, everything's looking so good for Christian Kirk. He's seeing deep targets. He's on the field almost every single play. And the Chargers are also without J.C. Jackson today. That's great news for Christian Kirk. Tony Pollard or A.J. Dillon? I'd still go A.J. Dillon over Tony Pollard. I still would. And again, this is probably the worst possible matchup for A.J. Dillon this week, which is why any of us are considering benching A.J. Dillon. But yeah, I'm okay going A.J. Dillon over Tony Pollard. And Tony Pollard had a great week last week. I still think A.J. Dillon's floor is much higher because he saw 20 touches. Last week, he saw 18 touches. The week before that, we've seen a lot of touches for A.J. Dillon, and I think he could still be very involved in the passing game. Guys, if you are watching live on YouTube, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We're trying to get to 10,000 YouTube subscribers this season, and we can get pretty close today if everybody watching right now smashes the subscribe button. If you're watching live on TikTok too, hit the follow button. I'm putting out daily TikTok content, weekly YouTube content, so really do appreciate all the support, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hey, happy Sunday, Sam. Thanks, man. Got a weird one for you. PPR. I can start 1 at running back and 2 at flex. ETN, Zeke. All right, so first let's start with running back. ETN, Zeke. I think I would lean Zeke over ETN. And then Gage, Dortch, Anderson, Noah Brown, Ayuk. Yeah, I'm okay starting ETN and Zeke, I think, in this situation. And then it's between Ayuk and Gage, I think. And I'd probably go Ayuk over Gage. It's close, though. I like Gage as a sleeper. I think Ayuk's a little bit better, though. I think I would go ETN, Zeke, and Ayuk. Definitely a weird one, but I like that in the PPR league. Cam Akers or Darrell Henderson in the PPR league? Yeah, man. This is $1 million question right here. Cam Akers versus Darrell Henderson. I think I still side with Darrell Henderson, though. Cam Akers looked better last week. He did see more snaps last week, but still not as many as Darrell Henderson. He did out-carry Darrell Henderson, I think 15-10. No targets for Henderson last week. I doubt that's the case again. This week, he did run 17 routes. Last week, I feel a little bit better about Hendo than I do Cam Akers, but it's definitely close. And it could easily go either way. Full PPR, Brandon Ayuk or Garrett Wilson, the math hat. The math hat is back, and it's back strong. Ayuk or Garrett Wilson. Yeah, I would go Garrett Wilson, I think, over Ayuk. I would go Stafford over Carr this week as well. I do like the matchup for Stafford this week up against the Cardinals, who have been so bad. Guys, the Cardinals have been, their secondary is so bad. You got to feel pretty good about Matt Stafford this week. The Arizona Cardinals this season have not looked very good on defense. This game also has a really high over-under. What's up, Sam? Full PPR, Mike Will, Cooks, or Connor at flex. I think I would go Cooks in this one. How do you feel about Burrow rest of season? I feel fine about him. Again, I think the Bengals could lose today and go 0-3 to start the season. I think they could. I'm not saying they will. I think they could. And I am taking the Jets against the spread, 6-point underdogs against the Bengals. But yeah, I think Burrow will be fine. I think this offense will be fine just in general. My man, Sam, with Justin Herbert banged up, I'm questioning Mike Williams. Yeah, Justin Herbert's banged up. That's why he's on my do not start list. And Keenan Allen's on my do not start list because he's banged up too. And it sounds like he's going to play, but if Justin Herbert doesn't play, I don't feel great about Keenan Allen, and I don't feel great about Mike Williams. I actually feel worse about Mike Williams with Chase Daniels than I do Keenan Allen. Need to start 1. Mike Will, Bateman, London, full PPR. Appreciate all the help. Yeah, I'd go Bateman, London, then Mike Will. I think Bateman and London are great options this week. Both really good options. I won't be shocked, though, if this is a Kyle Pitts week. More so than a Drake London week. but I could easily be off on that, and London's looked like a clear alpha top receiver for the Falcons. Bateman, on the other hand, he actually hasn't seen that many targets, but he's done so much with the targets he's seen, and he's seeing some of the deepest targets in the league. So I'm okay going Bateman. Happy football Sunday, best day of the week, absolutely best day of the week, hands down. There is no better day of the week than Sundays in the fall. It's just so nothing tops making your start sit decisions, optimizing your lineups all Sunday morning, researching every game all Sunday morning, and then just watching football all Sunday. Nothing beats it, man. Juju, London. This is what we do it for. Juju, London, or Bateman. Full PPR, pick one for flex. Already ahead from being subscribed to the app for the third year in a row. Joey, thanks so much, man. Again, this is the top way you can possibly support me and the whole brand and our entire team of creators and engineers. They are all supported by your premium subscription. So thank you so much, man. I like Bateman a lot this week. I think I wouldn't play Bateman or London. I wouldn't play Juju over Bateman or London. I think London's floor is not that much different than Juju's, but Bateman has the highest ceiling, I think, of all of them. I'm okay going Bateman in this situation. I think in projection, I think if you use your subscription and you ask Walter who to start in this one, though, it probably will say Drake London. It's probably pretty close. But yeah, I would probably lean Bateman. I think his ceiling is really high this week against a kind of sketchy Patriots secondary. And the other thing about the Patriots, they're one of their biggest weaknesses on defense is speed. And we saw the speed front and center last week with Bateman. I think he could easily rip a big one again today. Pollard or Michael Carter. This one's definitely close. I think I lean Tony Pollard, though, over Michael Carter. Can you put your picks against the spread? Yep, I got you, man. I got you with my picks against the spread. Again, we've been 54%. Not bad against the spread so far to start the season. I do have 3 locks today, too. Let me talk through these locks. I was really close to making the Ravens -2.5 a lock against the Patriots. I was pretty shocked that I thought that spread should be like 5.5, not 2.5. But I do think the Eagles stampede the Commanders today. The Eagles have looked so good. Their offensive line top in the league per our analytics. I like the Eagles to really dominate the Commanders, who have had a pretty weak defense so far in the season. I also like the Packers +1.5 against the Bucks. I think that the Bucks offensive line injuries and receiver injuries are really they're starting to stack up by the truckload. And the Packers have their own injuries, but I think the Packers can definitely beat the Bucks today. I also like the Seahawks losing to the Falcons. The Falcons +1 against the Seahawks. I still think the Seahawks are probably the worst team in the NFL. They have, in my opinion, the worst defense in the league. And then also their offense they're playing Travis Homer 40% of the snaps. They are a bottom 10 offensive line in the league for sure. Geno Smith is not a guy I have any faith in. I don't dislike the Falcons today +1. Cooks, Juju, Dillon, Darrell Henderson, also Ingram, and Gerald Everett or Hurst. Been a subscriber since Christmas. Chase, thank you so much for tuning in. Great to see you again in the live. Yeah, I think I would probably rate these guys like more or less in this order. Maybe I would go Cooks, then Dillon, then Juju, then Henderson. But yeah, I would play Cooks over all those guys. And then Ingram or Gerald Everett or Hurst. All 3 of those guys are honestly really intriguing tight end options. I have Ingram, though, is the only one that's actually in my top 10 tight ends this week. I think I would go Gerald Everett. I think I would go with Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram's usage has low-key been pretty solid this season. I've tried him out in back-to-back weeks in DFS, and he hasn't fallen into the end zone yet. So he really hasn't been like great in fantasy. He hasn't had a top 10 tight end week yet, but he's played over 65% of the snaps in back-to-back weeks. He saw 8 targets last week. So his snaps went down actually last week, but his targets went up. And they're playing the Chargers today in a game without J.C. Jackson, in a game maybe without Justin Herbert. I don't hate Evan Ingram at all this week. I think he's a very interesting tight end play. I have him as my number 10 tight end today, and I actually like Hayden Hurst too. I think Hayden Hurst is being somewhat slept on as well. But with the Justin Herbert news, I don't feel great about Gerald Everett this week. Pick one: Scary Terry, Rashad Bateman. I want to say McScoren against the Eagles, but really my heart's telling me Bateman. I would go with Bateman over McScoren this week. Again, I wouldn't sleep on the ceiling for Rashad Bateman. I know a lot of people are starting to catch up to this Rashad Bateman hype. And I think we actually have Terry McScoren ranked a tiny bit ahead of Rashad Bateman in the WalterPicks app, which makes sense based on McScoren's production in the past. But again, let me just read you some numbers with Bateman to talk you into Rashad Bateman and the ceiling Rashad Bateman is going to bring your fantasy line. Rashad Bateman's yards after the catch, number 4 in the NFL. But that's really not why we're starting Rashad Bateman. The reason we're starting Rashad Bateman is his yards per reception leads the league. 28 yards per reception. His average target distance down the field is 16.1 yards down the field. That's 10th highest in the league. So he hasn't even had a game with that many targets. Last week was his high this season with 7 targets. Week 1, he had 5 targets. He scored touchdowns back-to-back weeks. And he gets a Patriots defense that struggles with speed. If Bateman has a game with like 10 targets, he could easily be a top 5 receiver in that week. He was the number 13 receiver last week. I think that he has such a high ceiling every single week. The floor is not terrible either because, again, even just one catch for him is probably like 30 yards, 20 yards. He's averaging 28 yards per reception. Absolutely insane. He's a really tough guy to defend with all the things that the Ravens do. So, yeah, I do like Rashad Bateman a lot this week. Again, Lockett or Lazard. I don't love Lazard this week. He did. Let me actually pull up the Lazard stat, though. I want to confirm my priors here because Christian Watson out this week. We have Christian Watson out. We also have Sammy Watkins out this week. That's going to be good for Lazard or Romeo Doubs. Last week, Lazard played 80% of the snaps, but he only had 3 targets. He did score a touchdown. 80% of the snaps, only 3 targets in a game that, the Packers were in full control of. I actually think I like Lazard more than Doubs. Romeo Doubs could easily be the guy, though, that benefits the most from these injuries. Romeo Doubs last week, he only played 40% of the snaps. And he had -2 air yards. All of his targets were like right at the line of scrimmage. So yeah, I like Lazard more than Doubs, but I like Lockett more than Lazard. I think Lockett still has a really high ceiling. Justin Herbert or Carson Wentz. I don't think Herbert's playing. I still don't think Herbert's playing. We haven't confirmed that. And we also probably won't actually know that until that game. And that game's later in the day. That game's at 4:15 Eastern. In which case, I'm okay going with Carson Wentz. Because even if Herbert plays, he's not playing at 100% very clearly. He's taking pain meds before the game. And they're going to try to protect him if he does end up playing. I used the trade analyzer, and it said I should do this. All right, let's see what it said. The trade analyzer he's speaking of, by the way, is in the WalterPicks app. And you can actually compare infinite trades this season for completely free in the WalterPicks app. Michael Pittman Jr. and Mondre for Drake London and Curtis Samuel. Yeah, I wouldn't do that one. I wouldn't do that. I disagree with the app. On this one, I think Pittman's the best player in this trade. The reason it probably says to do this is it's really high on Drake London. But yeah, I'm higher on Pittman than Drake London. I think you got to keep Pittman. Pittman was the number 5 receiver week 1. He saw 13 targets. And I think we have to start Pittman this week too. Keenan Allen or Lockett? That one's definitely tough for sure as well. Again, I'm nervous for Keenan. He's coming off his own hamstring injury. He missed last week. Coming off his own hamstring injury. It does sound like Keenan's going to play though. But we know these hamstring injuries, they can be nagging and they can easily pop up in this game. And then you're close to 0 points for Keenan. But on top of that, Justin Herbert is highly questionable in this game. So I don't feel good about it. Tyler Lockett last week, 11 targets, 107 yards, 19.7 points. This week he gets the Falcons. I think you go with Tyler Lockett in that start-sit decision. Start 1, Connor, Zeke, Dillon, or Henderson. Sorry about that. I just hit the mic. I think I would probably still go with Dillon or Zeke. Connor is questionable. It looks like he is going to play though, and so he is in consideration here too. Darrell Henderson's not in consideration in this one. It's between the first 3 guys here. I'm okay going Zeke or AJ Dillon. Connor's injury does make me a tiny bit nervous. Hey Sam, loving the content. Appreciate what you do for the community. Thanks, man. Nick, this is actually one of my big priorities in life is to spread positivity and be a positive influence in whatever communities that I'm in. And that right now for me means the fantasy football, mostly TikTok community. And there's a lot of negativity out there in that community. And I really want to be someone that spreads positivity in that community. So I actually really appreciate that comment. Wentz or Mariota? Wentz has been really, really good this season. I think he's actually a top 5 quarterback in fantasy this season. I don't feel as good about him this week against the Eagles, and I do feel pretty good about Mariota this week. I would actually go Mariota over Wentz this week. And can you name some player props you like? Yeah, I will talk through some player props. My first and favorite player prop, though, is Dalvin Cook, over 18.5 receiving yards. Cook has run the 4th most routes run in the running back position. Only 3 running backs have run more routes this season than Dalvin Cook. He has at least 5 targets in each of his first games, too. And he gets the Lions today. The Lions have been so bad against running backs. I really like all of Cook props today. I like his rushing prop. I like his TD prop. I like his receiving prop. I like all the props for Dalvin Cook. Today, I won't be shocked if he hits all 3 of those props, and I like him in DraftKings. I like him in fantasy. I like everything about Dalvin Cook. He's my number 2 running back today. Let me pull up my running back rankings again. You can see those on the YouTube live if you're watching live on TikTok. Yo, bro, Hines, Palmer, or Robert Woods. I mean, you're down bad if you're deciding to be Hines and Palmer and Robert Woods. You cannot start Josh Palmer because it doesn't look like Justin Herbert's going to play today. Or if he does, he's not at full strength. So don't start Josh Palmer. I would honestly probably go with Hines against the Falcons. That's a decent dart throw in PPR leagues. Flex Henderson or AJ Dillon, I'm assuming that was saying. I would go AJ Dillon over Henderson for sure, even in a tough matchup against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. All right, let's take a look at some of these comments. Mooney or Pollard? I would go Mooney over Pollard in a half PPR league, and I get the concern with Mooney. Obviously, he's been a complete dud. If you started Mooney each of the last 2 weeks, you're probably not doing so great in fantasy football. And I do have Mooney in a couple leagues, but I do think he's going to bounce back this week. Somehow the Bears are favored in this game, and it's because they're playing the Texans at home. There's almost no way we see Justin Fields throw the ball that few times as we've seen in the first couple of weeks, guys. Justin Fields has 25% of the passing attempts that Joe Flacco has. He's thrown 1/4 of the amount of times as Joe Flacco. I mean, think about how crazy that is. In just 2 games, Joe Flacco has 4 times the amount of passing attempts as Justin Fields in 2 games. He has 28 passing attempts this season. That's Justin Fields. Most players and most quarterbacks have had more passing attempts than that in a single game this season. We could see him throw the ball 25 times this week, though. And it's so tough to predict him throwing this few times each week, which makes projecting the Bears so tough. But yeah, I'm okay going with Mooney. I think Pollard's definitely safer, though. Don't get me wrong. Jace, if you're trying to avoid another donut in your lineup from Mooney, then go with Pollard. But if you want to chase the ceiling, I still think Mooney has a higher ceiling. Start A-Rob, Judy, Zeke. By the way, Mooney is clearly still the top receiver for the Bears. He's run around every single Justin Fields drop back. Start 2, A-Rob, Judy, Zeke, Lockett, PPR. I wouldn't start Lockett in this one. I would probably go with, honestly, these first 2 guys. I think I'd go with A-Rob and Judy over Zeke, over Lockett. Dillon Pierce or DJ Moore, pick 2. Bench Pierce. Bench Damien Pierce. Ethan, especially if this is a PPR league, bench Damien Pierce. He has 1 target in week 1, 1 target in week 2. He did play a lot more snaps last week. He does look like the starting running back for the Texans. They're also 3-point underdogs against the Bears, and they get Roquan Smith back this week. I don't feel great about Damien Pierce by any means. I got a trade I got to push through in the 32 Creator League. Glad our Seahawks creator messaged me about that. Let's see if I can push this through. And I can process trade. The trade was DK Metcalf and Jalen Tolbert for Van Jefferson, Olave, and some fab. Very interesting. Very interesting. Always very interesting trades in the 32 Creator League. All right, start 3. Jeff Wilson, ETN, Henderson, Mooney, Olave. Please, Sam. I need help in following for over a year now. Ryan, thanks for tuning in, man. And I'm here to help. Also, Rodgers or Mariota, please answer. I've been here for so long. Thanks for tuning in. I do appreciate it. I would probably go with Mariota over Rodgers, and that feels a little ridiculous to say out loud, but Mariota's floor is better than Rodgers this week. The Bucs defense isn't awful. They've actually been really good up front. And obviously the Packers offense without Devontae Adams, passing-wise, has not looked amazing. I still think Rodgers has a higher ceiling than Mariota, though. So if you're chasing the ceiling, I'd still go Rodgers. But Mariota's rushing gives him a really safe floor. He gets the Seahawks, too, today. This is one of the best matchups you could possibly have for basically every single position. The Jamal Adams-less Seahawks, by the way, too. This is the thing, too. I was already so down on the Seahawks talent this season, and then they lose their most talented player in week 1 in Jamal Adams for the entire season. I mean, they're so down bad. The Seahawks are so down bad. I had them under 5.5 wins. They do have 1 win against the Broncos this season, but I think the Falcons beat them today. That's actually one of my locks today is the Falcons +1 against the Seahawks. Mariota, 19.8 points in week 1, 15.4 points in week 2, and he has 88 rushing yards through the first 2 weeks of the season. He's been really good running the ball, guys. He has the 3rd most rushing yards per game in the NFL this season at the quarterback position. He also has the most red zone carries, 6 red zone carries for Mariota. His floor is actually really strong. And again, a game against the Seahawks is the type of matchup you want to be playing. Marcus Mariota. I play him over Rodgers. And then Jeff Wilson, ETN, Henderson, Mooney, Olave. start 3 of these guys, yeah, I'd probably bench Henderson. And I think I would probably bench ETN too. It's either ETN or Mooney that you're benching. I'm starting Olave and Jeff Wilson for sure. And then choose one of ETN and Mooney. ETN's the safer play. Mooney, to me, though, is the higher ceiling play because James Robinson is going to lead that backfield in touches. So there you go, Ryan. There is what I got for you. Michael Thomas or Keenan Allen? Michael Thomas. It's Michael Thomas. Justin Herbert's likely not playing today. There still is a good chance he plays, but even if he plays, he's not 100%, and he's taking pain meds before the game. On top of that, Keenan Allen's dealing with his own injury, hamstring injury. He's questionable today. Doesn't look like he's going to play, but he didn't play last week. And we know these hamstring injuries can be very, very nagging. So even if he plays, maybe he doesn't play as much, or maybe he re-aggravates the injury. That's all possible. So I'm definitely playing Michael Thomas over Keenan Allen. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We are not even halfway through the live stream. We got another 2 hours left in this live. I'm having so much fun already with all of you this morning. Make sure if you're watching live on TikTok and I haven't gotten to your start to question, there's a very good chance that if you had just been watching on the YouTube live, which is the exact same live, you actually would have already had your start sit answered because I have my top 10 rankings at every single position scrolling at the bottom of the screen on YouTube. And that actually answers maybe half of the start sit questions we get is you can just look right at my rankings. And those are on the YouTube live, not on the TikTok live, because on the YouTube live, I'm streaming from my computer. And on the TikTok live, I'm streaming from my phone. Also on the YouTube live, get all my picks against the spread too. So come to the YouTube live. Link is right in the TikTok bio. A Waddle or Tyreek? I'm going Tyreek over Waddle, but I have them both as top 10 wide receiver options this week. I have Tyreek at number 5 and Waddle at number 10. And this Bills, let's talk about this Bills-Dolphins game again for a second, because it does feel a lot like this Ravens-Dolphins game from last week. And I mean, it's really rare something like this happens where, like, in DFS, Daily Fantasy, DraftKings, FanDuel lineups, like last week, if you stacked the Ravens and the Dolphins, you cashed huge money. And like, again, right the next week after, it still might be the same thing. It might be you want the Tua, Tyreek, Waddle, Steph Diggs, or Gabe Davis stacks, and those are really expensive this week, but this game could be so high scoring. The Dolphins and the Bills, both teams, top 3 in the league in pass rate over expectation. What does that mean? It means even in running situations where we'd expect most teams in the NFL in history to run, they're passing. They're extremely aggressive passing the ball. They're running a lot of passing plays. Even if they're winning the game, they're going to keep running passing plays. And if they're losing the game, they're going to continue running even more passing plays. What does that mean? It means really high-scoring games, like we saw with the Dolphins last week. And then on top of that, the Bills secondary, and this was the big thing with the Ravens last week. The Bills secondary, they're starting 3 6th-round picks in their secondary. Their safety is out for the season, and that's great news for Tyreek and for Waddle. I really do like all of the Dolphins players, all the Bills players this week. I think that game's going to be really high-scoring. I do think the Bills win, though. Hey, Sam, what do you think about Keenan and Williams today if Herbert's out? Yeah, I don't feel great about them, Jake. I think Keenan's safer than Williams with Herbert out because of the type of routes Keenan runs versus Mike Williams. But I'm also concerned about Keenan's quad injury and whether that could be re-aggravated. So if Herbert's out, I would go Keenan over Williams. If Herbert's in, I still got to go Keenan over Williams. But I don't feel great about either of them this week with the Herbert injury. I think they have a ton more risk than usual. Sutton, Bazooka, or Cooks. Yeah, Ayuka the Bazooka, I wouldn't start over Sutton. Levy, and I wouldn't start him over Cooks either. I would probably say go Sutton, then Cooks, then Ayuka, the Bazooka. Let's get back to – let me pull up my picks against the spread. Again, I do want to talk through some of those. Carter or Brees. I like Carter a little bit more than Brees. I like Brees long-term, but Carter is clearly getting more touches than Brees so far. Clyde, Edwards-Helaire, or Terry McScorin. I would go Terry McLaurin over Clyde. Hey, Sam, should I accept this trade? A.J. Dillon. Let me go back to this. And Gerald Everett for Kittle and Hunt. A.J. Dillon and Gerald Everett for Kittle and Hunt. Yeah, I think I like the Kittle side. Honestly, it's a pretty fair trade. I think A.J. Dillon's probably the best player in the trade. But if you need a tight end, I do like trading for Kittle right now. I think this is a good time to trade for Kittle. I think Kittle's going to be a top 5 tight end rest of season. Rashad Bateman is a guy that I want to start, guys. I want to start Rashad Bateman this week. What's up, Sam? What is up, guys? We let me pull this question up. You made me win my league last year. Look, I'm just here to help you guys win your leagues. You won your league. It was not me. It was you. You still decide what information to run with. So you got to give yourself some credit too. But guys, if I did help you win your leagues last year, I mean, that was last year. And we got to focus on this year. And we're trying to run it back to back fantasy championships this year. That's what it's all about, man. Nothing beats back-to-back fantasy championships. Like you just dominate your league so badly if you won back-to-back years. Keenan Allen, Marquise, Waddle, London, MT, pick 3. Yeah, great receivers. Really good drafting by you. And it's because you have so many good receivers. Like you can just bench Keenan Allen this week. There's so much concern with Keenan Allen this week with Justin Herbert maybe not playing. Keenan Allen dealing with his own hamstring injury. So I'm okay benching Keenan. I would definitely start Waddle. And I would definitely start Michael Thomas. And I think I would play London over Marquise Brown. That one's really close though. But yeah, definitely start Waddle. Definitely start MT. And then between Marquise and London, I would probably lean London. But again, it's really close. DK lineup. Yeah, if you come to the YouTube live, I'll pull up my DK lineup in a second. Cordell Patterson or Devontae Smith, they could both go off. Yeah, I like Cordell Patterson, though, I think a tiny bit more than Devontae Smith this week. All right, let me pull my DraftKings lineup. And I'll actually just talk through general DraftKings strategy this week because I have a lot of different lineups this week. I learned from my mistake last week. And I actually post a recap of these live streams every single Wednesday morning. I go back, I rewatch this entire live, and I recap some of my best and worst takes from this live to make sure I'm getting better every single week. And last week, if you remember, my DraftKings lineup had Trey Lance in. And 95% of my DraftKings lineup last week had Trey Lance in it. Luckily, I had one with Tua, Tyreek, and Waddle that saved the day for me in DraftKings. But I'm not playing any lineups with – I'm not playing one quarterback in 95% of my lineups again. That was definitely a lesson learned. And I have Pat Mahomes in this lineup that I'm showing on the YouTube live right now. But I also have some lineups with Josh Allen. And I also have some lineups with Kirk Cousins and Trevor Lawrence. And I even have some lineups with Tua. I think those are like the 5 quarterbacks to really be considering this week. In tournaments, this is a tournament lineup. Head-to-heads, I would probably go Jalen Hurts. So, yeah, I'm Mahomes stacked with Marcus Valdes-Scantling. I think starting it off like that, I think that's going to be a pretty low-rostered stack. Most people, I think, that go with Mahomes are probably going to play Kelsey. I'm not playing Kelsey in this lineup. I'm playing Kyle Pitts in this lineup. I like going Kyle Pitts in tournaments. I think Kyle Pitts could have a monster day today, and I'm banking on a big bounce-back day from Kyle Pitts. I'm playing Christian McCaffrey because I love being able to play Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey has not had any big games, but he's had over 15 points each of his first 2 games this season. Again, I think we've seen CMC's floor the first 2 games, not his ceiling. I'm playing DeAndre Swift this week. I was telling you to bench DeAndre Swift last week because he had an ankle injury, and that led to him only getting 7 touches. But he escaped that game with no injuries, and by all accounts, he's going to be back to his normal full workload in a game that could be a massive, massive shootout against the Vikings. Lions' offensive line has looked so good. I'm also starting Chris Olave in this lineup too. He leads the league in air yards. Not the best matchup for Olave, but I do like his ceiling a lot, and I don't think many people are going to be starting Olave. Kendrick Bourne is my biggest dart throw in all my DraftKings lineups this week. I don't have in all of my lineups, but definitely a lot of them. In almost all the lineups I have Rashad Bateman or Lamar Jackson in, I'm starting Kendrick Bourne as well. Lamar's another QB, by the way, you definitely can consider in your DraftKings lineups against the Patriots. But Jacoby Myers is out today. Kendrick Bourne, he had one big play week 1. He played almost twice the amount of snaps in week 2, and now with Jacoby Myers out, I think we see Bourne close to a 70% snap share today, by far the most he'll play so far this season. And we just saw the Ravens secondary struggle with some speed, though I will say the Ravens secondary is much healthier this week than they were last week. I'm very concerned for the Pats. But I do like Kendrick Bourne as a very low-owned DraftKings dart throw. And then I'm going with Bateman in the Falcons defense. I like the Falcons defense against the Seahawks this week. Mike Williams or Jahan Dotson? Yeah, I think I would still go Mike Williams. What about Kamara versus Javonte with Sutton already in the lineup? I don't think you can bench Alvin Kamara this week in almost every single situation. Christian, what does the lock mean next to the picks? That means these are the picks I'm most confident in. And I'll track that accuracy separately. This season, I have worse accuracy on the locks this season than just overall. I'm 50% overall against the spread. I think I'm 1 for 1 with the locks, I believe. I got to look back at the exact lock percentage. I think I took 2 locks so far this season. By the way, one of the locks was week 1, the Broncos over the Seahawks. That one obviously missed, and I'm taking another lock against the Seahawks today. We'll see if they can keep ruining my lock streak. But yeah, I take the Falcons +1 against the Seahawks. These are the spreads I feel best about. The Falcons against the Seahawks. I almost put the Ravens as a lock. I was pretty confident about them beating the Pats too. But the Pats fan in me at first game at home, I wasn't able to do it. But I won't be shocked if the Ravens completely blow out the Pats. I was actually pretty shocked that the spread was only 2.5, and I'm definitely taking the Ravens against the spread. How do you feel about J.K. Dobbins this week? I'm not starting J.K. Dobbins this week. He's in my must-bench list over on TikTok. I'll actually pull up my must-bench list again on YouTube so you guys can see it on YouTube again too. I'm not starting Keenan Allen. I'm nervous about Mike Williams. Keenan Allen's dealing with his own hamstring injury. Justin Herbert is also very questionable to play today. It sounds like he wants to play, but I don't think he's going to. Again, just look at the spread. Look at the spread for this game. And let me actually refresh, make sure the spread hasn't changed. But the spread really tells a really clear story in this Chargers game. The spread right now in the Chargers game, they're 3.5-point home favorites over the Jaguars. They started as 11.5-point home favorites against the Jaguars. What could move the line that much? It is a Justin Herbert injury. The Vegas spread is clearly accounting for this Justin Herbert injury, and I think we should too. Officially active. Alvin Kamara is officially active. Start him. Start Alvin Kamara. J.K. Dobbins is officially active. I'm not starting J.K. Dobbins. Again, I'm nervous about how much work he's actually going to get. He was a full participant in practice this week, but we've seen him be eased in so slowly back to the starting lineup, back to active on game days, that I'm not going to be surprised if we see less than 10 touches for J.K. Dobbins. We also know he's going to get very few targets. He could easily score a touchdown, but I'm not feeling great about J.K. Dobbins this week. I would wait one more week to be trusting J.K. Dobbins in your starting lineup. Gabe Davis is active. I'm starting Gabe Davis in a lot of situations. Again, I think that Dolphins-Bills game is going to be so high scoring. Hayden Hurst is active. Josh Jacobs is active. Dawson Knox is active. I'm cool with starting all those guys in most situations. Officially inactive, Jacoby Myers. He's inactive. We knew that was coming. And Taysom Hill inactive. We knew that was coming too. So don't start Jacoby Myers. Don't start Taysom Hill. Both are inactive. Kyle Duggar also inactive today for the Pats. That's definitely bad news for Kyle Duggar. Let's look at any other news that has come out about the... So yeah, the Bills are without both of their starting safeties today. They're starting 2 6th-round picks in their safety spot today. And then also they're without their starting center today. Mitch Morse, his elbow is injured, so he's out today also. Definitely pretty concerning for the Bills being able to stampede the Dolphins. I still think the Bills beat the Dolphins, though, this week. And, like, just looking at the defensive side of the ball, yeah, Jordan Poyer is out. They have a free safety, Jaquan Johnson. Again, I think he was a 6th-round pick. He's been in the league a decent amount of time now. He's nothing too great. They're also, I think, missing another member of their secondary. Dane Jackson, I think, is out as well. Maybe he's on the practice squad. But yeah, the Bills secondary, they're starting 3 6th-round picks in their secondary today. And they're without their starting center. I do think the Dolphins can make it a game. I still think the Dolphins win that game, though. I mean, the Bills win that game. Panthers wide receiver Terrace Marshall is a healthy inactive today. RIP Terrace Marshall. Not that anyone's thinking about him, but I did draft him in some best ball leagues. All right, let's get back to some of the comments in TikTok. Let me pull up my top 10 receivers again. I think the receivers are actually my top 10 tight ends. I think the tight ends are interesting. DJ Moore, Judy. I'm okay going with DJ Moore. Why bench Keenan? Because we don't know if Justin Herbert's playing today. And Keenan has his own hamstring injury. What do you think about Russell Gage today? I actually think he's a very interesting flex play today. Hey, Sam, I need your help going against Waddle Tyreek combo. That's just brutal. And you're looking Shepard/Gallup. Yeah, I'd go Mooney over Shepard and Gallup. I'm pumped, by the way. So pumped. Gallup's coming back today. I have Gallup in so many leagues, so many IR slots. I have Gallup and Jameson Williams. So many best ball teams. I have Gallup and Jameson Williams. They're getting them both so late this season, but I'm not starting Gallup in his first week back. Absolutely not. I would definitely go Mooney over Shepard too. Dobbins or Breece Hall. Go Breece Hall. Again, I don't want J.K. Dobbins in my starting lineup this week. That could end up being wrong. Again, I think the Ravens are going to beat the Patriots pretty easily. That could be good for J.K. Dobbins. But everything we've seen this offseason gives me no faith in the workload for J.K. Dobbins today. They've eased him in so slowly that you got to expect that process to continue slowly. Like maybe he gets 10 carries. Maybe that's his ceiling this week is 10 carries. I would be shocked if he touched the ball more than 15 times and he doesn't get any targets. So he doesn't score a touchdown. He doesn't get any targets. He finishes the game with 10 carries, 60 yards, like 60 yards a carry. That's solid, but he scored 6 points. So yeah, I like Breece Hall a lot more than J.K. Dobbins this week. Tight ends this week. Ertz or Herb Smith. I like Ertz. I think more than Herb Smith. I have Ertz inside my top 10. You can see scrolling across the bottom of the screen right now. I have Ertz at number 8. Ertz has low-key been a stud in his usage this season. It hasn't turned into like massive production for Zach Ertz, but he's the number 5 tight end in fantasy points per game this season. He's been a top 10 tight end week 1 and week 2, and he was the number 3 tight end last week, and he didn't score a touchdown. And that really is what separates some of these tight ends from the rest. Because most tight ends, it's like a very binary thing every week. Did you score a touchdown? If you did, you were a top 10 tight end. If you didn't, you weren't a top 10 tight end. But for Zach Ertz, he saw 11 targets, 8 catches, ran around on almost every single Kyler Murray dropback last week, and he scores 15.5 points without a touchdown in PPR leagues. That's really strong, man. I'm definitely starting Zach Ertz in almost every situation this week. I feel pretty good about Zach Ertz. I'll pull up my top 10 wide receivers again. Gage or A-Rob? WP says A-Rob. What do you think? Yeah, I'd go A-Rob over Gage. I like Gage as a sleeper this week, but I'm not playing him over Allen Robinson. Guys, we're live on YouTube and TikTok right now. On the YouTube Live, you get a little bit more info. You get my top 10 rankings every single position. You get my picks against the spread, and I'm able to pull your comments up right on the YouTube Live. So come to the YouTube Live. Links in the TikTok bio. I did see a question about any streaming defenses this week, though, on the TikTok Live. And this is a tough week to stream defenses. I actually streamed the Browns in a lot of situations because I drafted the Browns in a lot of leagues. So they had a good first 4 weeks, and they fell on a touchdown in the last play that actually saved the Browns stream. I like the Cowboys and the Giants streamed defenses this week, though. I think both might be available in a lot of leagues. I like the Cowboys a little bit more than the Giants to stream on defense, but both defenses I think could cause a lot of havoc in that game. I think it could be more of a defensive than offensive game. Sam, my man, good morning. Good morning. Andrew, I need to know, what are your thoughts on A-Rob and Juju today? Yeah. So Allen Robinson last week. We were in on the Allen Robinson bounce back game. I think we started him in DFS and a lot of lineups last week. He almost had 2 touchdowns. Honestly, he should have had 2 touchdowns. It was a pretty BS sequence of events for Allen Robinson last week where he scores a second touchdown and there was some like erroneous whistle, some random whistle that they blew. And so they had to run the play back and he didn't end up scoring a second touchdown. He only had 5 targets last week, though. 53 yards. He did score 1 touchdown, so he had 15 points. But against the Falcons, I think I was expecting more target volume, honestly. He did play another 90% of the snaps, which is good. I do like the matchup for the Rams today against the Cardinals defense, but I feel like Juju's floor is better with the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. I think his floor is better. I would argue Allen Robinson's ceiling's maybe a little bit higher. Juju obviously had a bad game last week, only 3 targets, 10 yards, but he still was out there for 72% of the snaps, still ran 28 routes. I think there's better days ahead for Juju. I think they're really close in my rankings this week, but I do have A-Rob a tiny bit ahead of Juju Smith-Schuster this week. Why bench Damien Harris? Yeah, so I'm benching Damien Harris because I think the Ravens are going to have an early lead in this game, and it won't be surprising to me if at points the Ravens lead by a touchdown or multiple touchdowns in this game, which means it's going to be tough for the Patriots to run as much as they want to run. And it also means that they might deploy more of their pass-catching running backs in this game. And Damien Harris has been somewhat involved in the pass-catching game, but really we know Mondre Stevenson is the better pass-catching back in this backfield. I don't think Damien Harris has a great chance at a touchdown today. And he's one of the most TD-dependent running backs in fantasy football because, again, he's not a huge part of the passing game. Mondre played 57% of the snaps last week. He ran 21 routes. Damien Harris, meanwhile, let's pull up Damien Harris's underlying metrics here. Now, by the way, all the data I use comes from playerprofiler.com. They are a data provider for WalterPicks, the best data provider that we could possibly hope for. Yeah, so Damien Harris last week, he played 38% of the snaps. Less snaps for Damien Harris. He saw more carries, but again, I don't know how many carries they're going to be to go around in a game where the Ravens probably going to get an early lead against the Patriots defense that's like good, but not great. And they're playing a great Ravens offense. This is another thing why I'm taking the Ravens 2.5-point favorites against the Pats. You kind of can't beat the Ravens unless you score at least 30 points. At least that's been the case so far this season. And I have no faith in the Patriots offense scoring 30-plus points against the Ravens. With most of their secondary returning in this game. They were missing most of their secondary last week, and a lot of them are returning this week. Marlon Humphrey back. Marcus Peters still in the lineup. So I'm nervous for the Pats in this game. That's mostly what I'm concerned about, and I just don't think Damien Harris scores a touchdown today. And therefore, he's probably not going to be a top 25 running back. Hey, Sam, pick 2, Keenan Allen, Garrett Wilson, Brandon Ayuk, or Russell Gage, also Mariota or Russell Wilson. Yeah, I have Russell Wilson, I think, a couple spots ahead of Mariota this week. It's a good matchup for Mariota. And I was just talking about Mariota's rushing earlier in the stream. Mariota's averaging the 3rd most rushing yards per game at the quarterback position, 44 yards a game. That's really solid floor for him. He's also scored a rushing touchdown. He also leads the entire league in red zone rushing attempts. He has 6 carries inside the red zone. So that gives him a really good shot at a touchdown each week, too. So I think his floor is actually really good. I'm still playing Russell Wilson over him, though. And then Keenan Allen, Garrett Wilson, or Ayuk the Bazooka, or Gage, pick 2. I think I would go with the first 2. You got to monitor the Chargers situation really closely, though. Because if Herbert doesn't go, I think I like Ayuk a little bit more than Keenan Allen. But I'm definitely starting Garrett Wilson, I think, in this one. Jamal Williams or Damien Harris, yeah, I'm okay drawing the line here in going with Damien Harris in this one. Been here an hour, LOL, and thanks for the weekly Q&A. Thanks, man. Will, thanks for sticking around. Burks or DJ Moore? Yeah, I'm going DJ Moore over Burks, 100%. I'm going DJ Moore over Burks. Should I trade Marquise Brown? I wouldn't trade Marquise Brown until we see a big blow-up game from Marquise Brown. Jacobs or Pittman? Don't bench Pittman. Do not bench Michael Pittman. He was the number 5 receiver in week 1. He saw 13 targets, and he's back this week. Start him. Same thing with Kittle. Don't bench Kittle this week in the tight end slot. I've seen some questions that are like, do I play Kittle in my flex? No, don't play 2 tight ends, but definitely play Kittle in your tight end slot. He's my number 4 tight end this week, and he's back. And usually, like you'll see me go both ways sometimes with this, and this might seem a little, what's the word I'm looking for? Hypocritical to you in my analysis sometimes I'm like, this guy is coming back off an injury, like J.K. Dobbins. I don't trust J.K. Dobbins this week. They were easing him in very slowly. I don't think he's going to see more than 10, 15 touches today, and if he doesn't score a touchdown, he's probably going to go under 10 fantasy points because he doesn't catch passes. But with Kittle, I feel different. Because Kittle, I think he could have come back earlier, and now he's at 100% strength. And also, the tight end position is so brutal in fantasy that I'm starting Kittle in almost every situation. And I still have him as a top 5 tight end this week. Because I just view those injury situations much differently. And they are much different injuries, too. So I'm going Kittle, definitely this week. Sam, my guy, do I start Dawson Knox or Gerald Everett at tight end? Yeah, I'd go Knox. I'd go with Dawson Knox over Gerald Everett. With the concerning developments for the Chargers game, the other thing about J.K. Dobbins, too, is that they're missing their starting left tackle this week. That's obviously bad news for J.K. Dobbins also. There is still no updates on the Justin Herbert situation, and this is exactly what I expected. And this is why I put Herbert and Allen, and I'm talking a lot about Mike Williams too. I think they're all really concerning this week, and I wanted to call that out because we just aren't going to get all the info about this on this live stream. And we got another couple hours on this live, and it's another couple hours till kickoff, but this game's later in the day, and he's a true game time decision. Makes the Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Justin Herbert start fit decisions really difficult, and I would lean on the pessimistic side of those decisions because I don't think Herbert's playing. Again, look at the spread. I think the spread tells the whole story here with the Chargers. The Chargers were 11.5-point home favorites against the Jaguars, and at a high level, that kind of makes sense to me. The Chargers with Herbert should blow out the Jaguars at home. Now that spread's 3.5, and clearly they are not expecting Herbert to play. And so I would account for that in your start to decisions. Curtis Samuel, Gabe Davis, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, starting 2. I need help. Yeah, Brady, you do need help. I would definitely start Gabe Davis. And then Keenan Allen versus Mike Williams is such a tough spot this week, like I was just talking about. I think you can start both of them, though, over Curtis Samuel. And I feel like if Herbert does or doesn't play, Keenan Allen's probably still a little safer than Mike Williams, though that's without considering the hamstring injury that he has. And that's also a little concerning. But yeah, I think I would go Keenan Allen, Gabe Davis in this one. A.J. Dillon, Garrett Wilson, or Travis Etienne. I think I would go Garrett Wilson or A.J. Dillon. If this is a PPR league, I think I'd go Wilson. But if it's not a PPR league, I think I'd go A.J. Dillon and just lock in the touches, even though it's a tough matchup. Greg, good to see you in the live again, man. Hey, Sam, am I stupid to go Garrett Wilson over Hollywood Brown? PPR? No, I don't think you're stupid. I don't think you're stupid to try out any of these rookie receivers this week. And I'm telling you guys, at least one of these guys every week is going to just smash their expectation, especially early in the season. Drake London is probably the best bet each week at the rookie wide receiver position, but Garrett Wilson has looked amazing. He looked great last week. I do have Marquise Brown ranked ahead of Garrett Wilson by a decent amount. I think Marquise Brown's ceiling is still really, really high compared to Garrett Wilson, and I also think there's a decent chance we see a big Elijah Moore game this week. But I still think the ceiling for Garrett Wilson, Treylon Burks, Chris Olave, all three of those guys who are sort of a slight tier below Drake London because none of them are the clear top receivers on their own teams, though I think Treylon Burks will be soon. I think all of those guys have a really high ceiling. So I'm okay going with them, especially if you if that's what your gut is telling you. I'm okay doing that. Marquise Brown, I still think, though, has a higher ceiling than all of those guys. So I don't think you're stupid, but I do think you're making a slight gut choice there. Saquon, A.J. Brown, or Amon-Ra St. Brown? Jake, man, is this a 4 or 6 team league? You got to start all 3 of these guys. I don't know what to tell you. You got to start Saquon. He's my number 4 running back this week, so you absolutely need to be starting Saquon. A.J. Brown is. Let me pull up my wide receiver. Oh, the wide receiver ranking is already up. You can see A.J. Brown is my number 8 receiver. Amon-Ra is my number 7 receiver. So I guess Amon-Ra over A.J. Brown, but I'm going to start both of them. Good morning, Sam. Does not feel like morning to me anymore, man. We're 7 minutes away from good afternoon, Sam. But DK, Olave, or Brees, I think I would go in this order. DK, then Olave, then Brees. I like Olave a lot, though. I think you could definitely start Olave over DK Metcalf, but I do think there's only a matter of time until we see some big DK Metcalf plays, and it's definitely possible we see that this week against the Falcons. Weather reporter Sam, any concerns today? So I actually started out this live stream talking about the weather because there's no concerns. Let me actually just refresh this one time really quickly because I did look at the weather earlier this morning because we don't even have any rain. There's not even any rain in the forecast, and there's the windiest games today are all being played in domes. So obviously the wind does not a factor. We're not even going to see wind up to 12 miles an hour today. 15 miles an hour is not even on the report. There's no rain. There's no weather. There's no weather concerns this week. That is the report from Weatherman Sam. This week, there was a little bit of weather to be concerned about in that Thursday night game. Didn't end up actually coming to fruition, though. Both offenses moved the ball pretty fine. I think the over ended up hitting in that game, too. But yeah, no weather concerns. That's the report from Weatherman Sam this week. Make sure you tune back next week to catch Weatherman Sam and all the weather impacts in your fantasy football lineups. Thomas Bolger in the YouTube live. Like that. Is that a Bill Belichick photo I see? I think that looks like Bill. I'm not 100% it's Bill, but it does look like Bill to me. Maybe it's just some random older gentleman, but I do think it looks like Bill. Start one at flex. Kittle, Garrett Wilson, or Dillon PPR. Again, we're not starting 2 tight ends. Yeah, don't start Kittle over Dillon. I wouldn't start Kittle over Wilson either. And yeah, I would trade one of these guys, by the way. I would trade Kittle or Waller. You don't need both. I would play Waller over Kittle. I do have Waller one spot ahead of Kittle. I do think this could be a pretty big game for Waller and for Devontae Adams this week. Again, let me pull up my tight end rankings. I would trade George Kittle, and I wouldn't start him over Garrett Wilson, and I wouldn't start him over AJ Dillon. You're still rooting for him this week, though, because the better he does, the better return you're going to get when you trade him. Fields or Mariota? I go Mariota over Fields, 100%. Mariota's got a better matchup this week. As bad as the Texans' defense has looked, the Seahawks defense, I think, is worse than the Texans. And Mariota has the 3rd most rushing yards per game at the quarterback position. Meanwhile, Justin Fields has thrown the ball 26 times through 2 weeks. Maybe it's 28 times. He's thrown the ball. Joe Flacco's thrown the ball 4 times more times. Joe Flacco's thrown the ball 4 times more than Justin Fields this season. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, I play Mariota over Fields, 100%. James Conner or Zeke? James Conner is looking like he's going to play today, but he was questionable this week. The Cardinals up against the Rams, also not a very good matchup for James Conner. I'm okay going with Zeke over James Conner. Hey, Sam, start one, PPR, Juju, MT, Judy. I'd go MT over Judy and over Juju. All right, let me get back to some of the comments in the TikTok live. Is Judy playing? Yeah, it does look like Judy's playing. It does look like he's playing, which is great news. Obviously, it could have been a much worse injury. He still is questionable, so it's not confirmed he's playing yet. But it does look like that's where it's going. Lamar or Tua? Start Lamar, guys. Start Lamar. I think he's my number 2 QB this week, as he has been basically every single week, right behind Josh Allen. I have Herbert in my lineup, but I also have Cousins on the bench and Mariota on the waivers. Yeah, I'd start Cousins. Start Cousins, Josiah. Again, I wouldn't be sitting here telling you to be very concerned about Justin Herbert without some very substantial evidence, and I think the evidence is pretty clear. In the spread of this game, the Vegas spread, how much Vegas thought the Chargers were going to win this game by, literally a week ago, when these spreads came out, was 11.5 points. Today, this morning, the spread is 3.5 points. You don't see line movement like that unless there's some very substantial injuries, usually to quarterbacks. And that's what we're seeing with Justin Herbert. Even if Herbert plays, there's some risk with Justin Herbert this week. So I'm okay going Cousins. And Cousins is in a really good spot, man. Cousins has a really high ceiling. And Mariota has a nice floor, but I like Cousins more than Mariota this week. Let me pull up my top 10 QB rankings again. Kirk Cousins is pretty high in my quarterback rankings. It goes Josh Allen, Mahomes, Lamar, Jalen Hurts, and then Kirk Cousins. And Justin Herbert is not even on this rankings list. I would play all 10 of these quarterbacks over Justin Herbert. I would play Mariota over Herbert, and I would play Russell Wilson over Herbert too. And it's because of the injury. Obviously, you're starting Herbert at full health over all those guys, but he's not at full health. So you got to react to this. You got to react to this information. Otherwise, you're falling behind. Moore or DK Metcalf? There's a lot of mores. Zach, this happens every week. There's so many more. Actually, one of my team names is Moore, please, because I got Elijah Moore, I got Rondale Moore, I got come on, there's some more. There's Sky Moore. There is at least one DJ Moore, and I bet you're asking about DJ Moore, but you could easily be asking about Elijah Moore or Rondale Moore. Probably not Sky Moore. I don't think you'd start Sky Moore over DK Metcalf. But first names with the Moores is very much appreciated. I'm going to assume you're talking about DJ Moore, though, in which case, yeah, I'm playing DJ Moore over DK Metcalf. I might even play Elijah Moore. Oh, you're talking about Elijah Moore. I might even play Elijah Moore over DK Metcalf. I like Elijah Moore a lot this week. I think that Elijah Moore is due for a bounce-back game. He's ran a lot of routes. He has not seen very many targets. But as Garrett Wilson starts to attract more defensive attention in a game against the Bengals, the Bengals secondary hasn't been super great this season. I think Elijah Moore's due for a big bounce-back game. So I'm okay going Elijah Moore over DK Metcalf. Pollard or Michael Carter, I think that one's super close. I mean, similar situations. Like both guys not going to get the whole backfield to themselves. Both guys should be involved in the receiving game. I think Michael Carter is more of a lock, though, in terms of his touches than Tony Pollard. But I actually like Tony Pollard, I think, a little bit more talent-wise. Jerry Jeudy or Traylon Burks. I like Burks again. I'm okay with those of these rookie receivers. I'm okay throwing darts at Traylon Burks, throwing darts at Garrett Wilson, throwing darts at Chris Olave. I think at least one of those guys is going to have a big week any given week. Obviously, Drake London, he's pretty much an auto start in fantasy at this point. He's, I think, a slight tier above these guys, but maybe not for long. And Traylon Burks is a guy I really like this week. I do really like Traylon Burks. His usage has ticked up each of the last 2 weeks. He's top 10 in efficiency on a per route basis. He just hasn't run many routes. He's the 7th most efficient player in the NFL on a yards per route run basis. There's only 6 receivers that have gotten more yards per route run than Traylon Burks. One of my favorite stats to look at in a pure efficiency standpoint. And that's really encouraging because Traylon Burks has a lot of room to improve in terms of how many routes he's running. And we could see that as soon as this week in a game against the Raiders. And in a game, I think the Raiders are going to do pretty well offensively too. So I don't dislike Traylon Burks, and I think you can start him in that situation. What do you think about Pitts? Man, I'm so down bad on Pitts. I think I don't know if there's a person with more invested in fantasy than Pitts than me. I did over 500 best ball drafts this offseason, and I had Kyle Pitts on 40% of those teams. I only ended up with him on one of my 7 high-stakes season-long teams. But I think Kyle Pitts is going to bounce back this week. I think the buy low window for Kyle Pitts, it ends this week. Obviously, though, he has a lower floor than what I was hoping for this season, and it's still a pretty big L for taking Kyle Pitts in the 3rd round. But I think this week you're going to see why people were so high on Pitts, and I think he could be a top 3 tight end in fantasy this week. I do have him ranked number 7, though, because he's been so bad this season. Wide receiver Kirk or MT, you got to play Christian Kirk, man. You have to be starting Christian Kirk. You got to be starting Michael Pittman as well. Trade Jamar for Eckler, I think it's fair. I don't know if I would do that, but I do think it's fair if you really need a running back and he needs a receiver. Hey, do you think I should start Patterson or Hollywood Brown half PPR? I would be more confident in Hollywood Brown than Patterson. I see thought I was seeing CB Fishing in the live comments. ARA Fishing. Here we go. Should I start Cordell Patterson or Damien Harris, non-PPR? Yeah, I think I would start Patterson over Harris. I'm nervous about Damien Harris this week. He played less percentage of the snaps than Montre. Last week he played just 39% of the snaps last week for Damien Harris. That was down from 40% in week 1. He's not going to play more than 40% of the snaps, and this is not going to be a good game script, I don't think, for the Patriots against a very high-powered Ravens offense with a lot of speed, and the Patriots have tended to struggle with speed. So I think the Ravens get an early lead, big lead in this game, and that can be more Mondre than Damien Harris. I don't feel great about Damien Harris's receiving role, and I don't think he scores a touchdown this week. And therefore, I'm out on Damien Harris this week. Hey, Sam, I got 2 questions. I got Tua or Goff. I think you got to go Tua. You got to go Tua. I have Tua as my number 7 QB. You can see my QB rankings right below. If you're on the YouTube live, if you're on the TikTok live, come to the YouTube live to see my top 10 rankings every position. I see another MT Kirk question in TikTok, by the way. Start Christian Kirk. I like MT, but start Christian Kirk, guys. Start Christian Kirk. He's been a beast to start the season. Top 12 wide receiver each of the first 2 weeks. You got to start Tua, though. The Bills are without most of their secondary. Today, it's like the same, similar, not as bad, but similar situation to what the Ravens were dealing with last week. The Ravens were without 4 of their top 5 corners to play last week, and then also their 5th corner got hurt in the game. So they played that game without 5 of their top 6 corners, and it showed against the Dolphins late in that game. This week, the Dolphins, the Bills, they're starting 3 6th-round picks in their secondary. One at safety, and I think 2 at safety, another at corner. So, yeah, you got to start Tua. And, again, it's going to be so high scoring. And Tua is clearly going to throw the ball a ton, really efficiently this season with 2 of the best receivers in the league. All right, choose one. DJ Moore, J.K. Dobbins, and Brandon Ayuk at the bazooka. I go DJ Moore. I'm benching J.K. Dobbins. I don't feel great about what workload he's going to get this week. They've been easing him in really slowly this whole time. It sounded like, honestly, J.K. Dobbins maybe could have played week 1. But they're easing him in very, very slowly. And I wouldn't be shocked if that trend continues and Dobbins gets like 5 to 10 touches this week. I'd be pretty surprised if we saw more than 15. Again, I think it could be a good game script for Dobbins in this game against the Pats, but he could easily fail to score a touchdown, and he's probably not going to catch any passes because Lamar very rarely throws to the running back. So I don't feel great about Dobbins this week. I think we give him one more week before we have a lot of confidence in J.K. Dobbins. But you should still be very excited he's coming back. That's great development for you if you have J.K. Dobbins. Drake London or Keenan Allen or Gabe Davis? Yeah, I want to say Gabe Davis to this one. I like Drake London a lot too, though. And I had Gabe Davis a few spots ahead of Drake London. I would not start Keenan, though. And you have really good options. This is the thing with Keenan and Mike Williams this week. At least one of them probably is going to end up proving me wrong, even with Chase Daniels this week. But just keep this in mind. Like, if you have good options like Drake London, like Gabe Davis, like Chris Olave, like Treylon Burks, like Christian Kirk, like Rashad Bateman, like if you have guys like this, just bench Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, who are in a super unknown, risky situation this week. Keenan's dealing with a hamstring injury. He's probably going to play. But Justin Herbert is dealing with a rib injury, and he's probably not going to play. So I would bench these guys, like if you have good replacement options. If you're looking at guys like Devin Duvernay, don't play Devin Duvernay over Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. Even Curtis Samuel. I don't know why I can't get around on this Curtis Samuel, and maybe I'm overlooking his usage a little bit. He's been used a lot. They're scheming him touches. And he was one of the top waiver wire ads week 1. I didn't add him in any leagues because I wasn't buying into the hype. Last week he played even more than week 1. But the Commanders have also played the Jaguars and the Lions, guys. And I don't think this passing offense is going to be this high octane this whole season. So I'm not feeling great about Curtis Samuel this week. I like Sutton the most, though, out of these guys, Matt. I would go Sutton, then Drake London, then Curtis Samuel. A.J. Brown and Michael Thomas. I'd play A.J. Brown. Start A.J. Brown. Sam, I need you, please. Who to start? Etienne or Julio? Etienne. Julio might not play. Look at this list. My do not start list. Julio's on there because same reason as last week. And we were on the money with this last week too. A lot of people were giving me heat about this last week too. But Julio Jones, he's a game time decision. He's going to test it out pregame. It's a knee injury. Even if Julio Jones plays, how confident are we he's going to play the whole game? How confident are we that he's 100%? He's clearly not 100%. I'm not starting Julio Jones until we see him play a full game. I think his floor is 0 points for you. Like pretty clearly his floor is 0 points. He might not even play. So yeah, bench Julio Jones. Definitely bench Julio Jones. Definitely bench Cole Beasley too. And I know there's some Cole Beasley stands. How many Cole Beasley stands are there really left though? I don't know if you guys saw. Cole Beasley dropped some sort of rap diss, and he just went at the Buffalo Bills. It's like all your fans are from Buffalo, man. Why are you going against the Bills? Like all of your remaining fans, all of the remaining Cole Beasley fans were all Bills fans. And if they listened to that rap, I mean, he was just trashing on Bills and the Bills fans. I don't think there's a single Cole Beasley fan left. And I'm certainly not one of them. And I don't want to start him this week either, even though he's on a pretty depleted Bucs passing attack. What QB if Herbert doesn't play? There's a lot of good QB streaming options this week. One of them is Marcus Mariota. He's the 3rd most rushing yards per game at the quarterback position. He gets a really bad Seahawks defense today. Another one is Jared Goff. He's a decent streaming option. He's been really good this season. It could be a really high-scoring game again for him today. I also don't hate Trevor Lawrence if he's available. He's having a quiet second-year breakout in a game that could be kind of high-scoring. I need you, Etienne or Elijah Moore. I'd go Elijah Moore over Etienne. Again, guys, we're live on YouTube and TikTok. We've been live for 2.5 hours up to this point. We got another hour-ish left. We're heading close to the witching hour. Honestly, we have 45 minutes left in the stream at this point. Come to the YouTube live. I'm telling you, I'm seeing a lot of these comments. It's hard for me to get all the comments, but a lot of the comments that I'm seeing in the TikTok live and even in the YouTube live too, they can be answered just by looking at my top 10 rankings over on YouTube. You can't see them on TikTok because I don't have as much functionality on TikTok as I do YouTube. The link to the YouTube live is right in the TikTok bio. Last thing I'll say, guys, is if I don't get to your start sit question, go to the WalterPicks app. You can do as many start sit comparisons as you want, and it will account for your custom scoring settings too. It's completely free to download. There are premium subscriptions in the app. I know a lot of people get tilted because we say it's free, and then some things aren't free. But I'm telling you exactly what's free. You can do as many start-sit comparisons for free. You can analyze as many trades as you want for free. There are premium insights that you do have to pay for because we work very hard to offer very, very high-end premium projections, the best projections I believe that are out there. So yeah, obviously we're going to have to charge something. And our premium subscribers in the WalterPicks app, by the way, they are the reason I'm able to do this every Sunday morning, and why our whole team is able to create so much content, and why our engineers are able to continue building innovative products into the WalterPicks app like League Sync, where you can sync your ESPN Yahoo Sleeper League directly. Like nobody's innovating as fast as us, and honestly, it's because of our subscribers in the app. They are the ones that are fueling the WalterPicks growth. So seriously, thank you so much, everyone. The subscriptions start for as little as $10 a month. I really, really do appreciate all of you. Seriously, like none of us in the WalterPicks team would be here without you. So thank you so much for that. All right, let's get back to some of these questions. AJ Dillon versus Curtis Samuel, PPR. I've been trashing on Curtis Samuel. Feels like this whole season. It feels like this whole live stream. And so far, that's blown up straight in my face. I like AJ Dillon more than Curtis Samuel this week, though, again. And it's a bad matchup for AJ Dillon. I do think you can bench AJ Dillon in a lot of situations this week. Unlike most weeks, this is a week where you can bench AJ Dillon. The Bucs have a very good run defense. They have a very good run defense. But we've also seen AJ Dillon see 9 targets this season. That is the 13th most at the running back position. He saw 6 targets week 1, only 3 targets in week 2. I think he sees at least 3 targets again in week 3. Probably less carries, though, against this stout Bucs run defense. So I don't love Dillon as much, but I'm taking AJ Dillon with at least 15 touches this week over Curtis Samuel, who it's only a matter of time, in my opinion, until Curtis Samuel cools off, at least a little bit. Cooks, Sanders, or Patterson at flex. I think I would lean towards Brandon Cooks in this one. I mean, what else do we need to see from Brandon Cooks? He's been the clear alpha receiver for the Texans. He's running very deep routes. And guys, General Davis Mills has also looked very, very good to start the season. Yeah, week 1, 12 targets for Brandon Cooks. Week 2, 10 targets for Brandon Cooks. He hasn't scored a touchdown yet, which means he hasn't been a top 20 receiver yet. But the target volume is very, very encouraging for Cooks. I think I would go Cooks in this situation. Gibson or MT in my flex PPR. MT. Scott, go with MT in the flex slot. Hey, Sam, I have 2 questions. We are live on YouTube and TikTok, by the way. I'm pulling up some of these comments on the YouTube live. I get to some of the TikTok live questions too, though. Wait, bench. Herbert. Yeah, Herbert's probably not going to play today, guys. He is on the wrong side of questionable. He wants to play, but he has a rib injury, and the spread for that game went from 11.5 to 3.5 because they don't think he's going to play. So that's why I'm benching Herbert. And even if he plays, he's clearly not 100%. All right, Brian, let's get to your question. Should I start Michael Thomas or Brandon Cooks? I would lean MT over Cooks. I think MT has more touchdown upside than Cooks. I think Cooks, though, is still a really good option in fantasy. And also, should I start Mike Williams or AJ Dillon? By the way, I love the WalterPicks app. Keep up the great work, bro. Thanks, Brian. Really do appreciate that. Really appreciate all the positivity, guys, from everyone. I love positivity. Both positivity, by the way, and negativity, both super contagious. This is one of the things I've learned throughout my life so far as an athlete. I played college soccer for 4 years, but also as CEO of WalterPicks. Negativity, positivity, they're so contagious. So, like, be the one that spreads the positivity. I think that's one of my goals in life. But yeah, I would still, again, lead AJ Dillon over Mike Williams. I put Keenan Allen in my do not start list. Let me pull that list up again. I would play Michael Thomas over Cooks. I would play AJ Dillon over Mike Williams. And again, this is not a good matchup for AJ Dillon. It's not a good matchup for AJ Dillon. But let me pull up my do not start list. And I make these do not start lists at like 6 a.m. So I'm operating with a little bit less information when I put these lists out. Similar to Swift last week. I didn't think Swift was going to play, though. That did end up being on the money. He only played 7. He only had 7 touches last week, and he was on my do not start list. He did score a touchdown, but I was on the money with Swift last week. And this week it feels like it's the Chargers that you should be really concerned about based on this injury news. Justin Herbert is very questionable today. It seemed like when I made this list earlier this morning, when I first woke up and was reading all the news about it, seemed like he was very doubtful that he was going to play, but he was questionable. It seems more and more like he's trending towards playing now, but I still think if I had to say, there's over a 50% chance Justin Herbert does not play today. And again, I'm mostly basing this off the spread of the game. The spread of the game has moved from 11.5 to 3.5. And I would actually probably swap out Mike Williams and Keenan Allen onto this list because I think Herbert not playing hurts Mike Williams more than Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen, I think Chase Daniels can at least get the ball to Keenan Allen like in some of his short intermediate targets. I think it's going to be tough for Mike Williams down the field. But Keenan Allen was on this list also because he had his own injury, and he was questionable this week. He is likely going to play, though. He has his own hamstring injury. Those can be re-aggravated, though, so that is also a little concerning. I'm seeing some Pittman questions again. Start Michael Pittman. Start Alvin Kamara. Both these guys coming off, they didn't play last week. Both these guys are must starts. Must starts in like 99% of situations. You're starting Michael Pittman. You're starting Alvin Kamara. Michael Pittman was the number 5 receiver in week 1. He had 13 targets. Hey, Sam, I have Brady, but I don't know who to drop for Carr. Dotson, Penny, Ayuk, Mooney, Godwin, or do I just keep Brady? Yeah, this is one of the toughest parts about fantasy is sometimes you're in these spots where you definitely want to add Carr and play him over Brady. And honestly, I'm okay. I would be okay dropping Dotson for him. I would be okay dropping Brady for him. I would not drop Ayuk. Even Mooney, maybe you could drop. I wouldn't drop Godwin. Definitely don't drop Godwin. And definitely don't drop Penny. I think, honestly, Dotson's probably the safest play because in reality, Jason, when are you going to play Dotson over Godwin, over Ayuk, and over Mooney? Not very often, probably. And Dotson has been off to a good start, but he's still tough to trust in season long on a weekly basis. So I think I would drop Dotson. Add Carr, but be ready to add Carr. Add Dotson right back after next week. I feel like Dotson's also the guy that's least likely to be picked up by your league mates. Judy, Henderson, or Pierce in the flex PPR league. I want to say Judy in this one. PPR league, Damien Pierce takes a huge hit in PPR leagues. Huge hit. He had 1 target in week 1, 1 target in week 2. He does have a pretty good shot at a TD today against the Bears defense, but the Bears do get Roquan Smith back today. That makes me a tiny bit more nervous for Damien Harris. But Damien Pierce played 66% of the snaps in week 2 compared to like 35% in week 1. The coaching staff followed up on their commitment to get him the ball more. So that does make him a slightly higher floor play, but again, the ceiling's really capped with no catches. He needs a touchdown. He's going to be one of these touchdown-dependent guys, and that's not a great thing when you're on the Texans. So I think Judy's the play here. Sam, my guy, $100 league for who I start, Brandon Cooks or Higgins PPR. Definitely a tough one. I think I would probably go. I'd probably go with Brandon Cooks, though. I think I'd probably go with Brandon Cooks against the Bears over Higgins against the Jets. It's really tough, though. I think Higgins' ceiling is probably higher and Cooks' floor probably a little safer. It's really close. But personally, I lean towards Cooks over T. Higgins. Allen Robinson, Keenan Allen, Tony Pollard, A.J. Dillon in the flex. In a PPR league, again, I'm benching Keenan Allen. And Nick, this is only because of the Justin Herbert injury, but also Keenan's dealing with his own injury. If Herbert ends up playing, though, I do think you want to start Keenan Allen. We still won't know about the Herbert injury until closer to that game, probably around 3:30 Eastern. Like third quarter of these initial games is probably when we're going to know if Herbert's active or inactive. There's even a chance he's active but doesn't start. Like he's an emergency active. That's also possible. But yeah, I think I would go A.J. Dillon over Keenan and over Pollard. I'd also strongly consider Allen Robinson, though, in a PPR league. Honestly, I think I'd go Allen Robinson over A.J. Dillon this week, too. So that's a really tough one, though. I think I'd lean Allen Robinson for the ceiling. A.J. Dillon, though, definitely is the safest floor among all those guys. And I'm not starting Pollard over A.J. Dillon. If it's between starting Damien Harris at 12 and taking a chance on Judy playing with a full workload, which would you choose? I'd go Judy. It does sound like Judy's going to play. It didn't sound like most of this week he was going to play, but this morning it did sound like he was going to play. So, yeah, I'm okay holding out hope for Judy benching Damien Harris against the Ravens, by the way. Seeing on my Twitter feed right now, Lamar Jackson out there, sleeveless, no sleeve on that right elbow. His elbow's fine, guys. His elbow's fine. Lamar Jackson's going to cook. Today against the Pats, are in for some serious trouble, I think, against the Ravens. Bateman or Christian Kirk? Yeah, I'd go Kirk over Bateman. And I love Bateman. I've told a lot of people to squeeze Bateman into their lineups on this live stream over some very good players. I've told a lot of people to start Bateman, but I'm not starting him over Kirk. I think Kirk is a clear wide receiver 1, like back-end wide receiver 1 in fantasy. He's a top 10 wide receiver in fantasy right now in per game points. And he has another decent matchup today against the Chargers, who are without J.C. Jackson, too. J.C. Jackson out. Justin Herbert likely out. There's a lot of injuries for the Chargers. That's why the spread has moved from 11.5 to 3.5. So, yeah, I'm starting Christian Kirk 100%. Greg Dortch or Darnell Mooney at flex. Oh, God, man. This is where we're at with Dortch and Mooney. And I've definitely gotten this question each of the last 2 weeks from someone, and I've said Mooney both times, and I'm compelled to say Darnell Mooney again this week over Greg Dortch. And like Greg Dortch has definitely a better floor than Mooney at this point, but I still think Mooney's ceiling is so much higher than Greg Dortch's. And the thing you got to understand about Mooney, as bad as he's been in fantasy, he's still the clear wide receiver 1 for the Bears. They just haven't thrown the ball at all. they've thrown the ball 26 times. That is an absolute joke through 2 weeks. Most quarterbacks have single weeks, where they throw the ball 26 times. Joe Flacco's thrown the ball over 100 times in the first 2 weeks. Justin Fields thrown the ball 26 times. Like, have they even been playing? Like, going back and watching these games, and I go back, I do rewatch every single game at least once. And these Bears games are so tough to rewatch. I mean, just such brutal offense. David Montgomery leads the team in receiving. That's not going to hold for the whole season. I think Darnell Mooney is definitely the play over Greg Dortch, as bad as he's been. Penny versus Wilson Jr., standard scoring. I'd go Wilson Jr., James over Penny. I think Penny's floor is so low. After we saw Travis Homer get 40% of the snaps. I mean, man, the Seahawks cannot keep doing that, right? They can't keep doing that. But I also have no faith in the Seahawks to make optimal decisions because they make so many suboptimal decisions every single week. This is why I think the Falcons +1 is an absolute lock this week against the Seahawks. And yeah, I'm going Jeff Wilson this week over Rashad Penny. Again, guys, we are live on YouTube and TikTok. And in about 10 minutes, actually in about 5 minutes, we're going to be in the witching hour of this live stream. And that means I'm going to be answering I've already answered a lot of questions, obviously, on this live, but I'm going to be going even faster, rapid fire in the comment section. But what I'm doing this year is I'm doing that end of my live stream only on YouTube because it's a little easier to pull up comments on YouTube. I can't do that on TikTok. And so I'm able to go faster on YouTube. That's why I'm doing the end of the streams always on YouTube. And also you get a little bit more information on the YouTube live, like my picks against the spread, which are scrolling across the screen right now, but also my top 10 rankings every single position. All right, Jacobs, Akers, or Tony Pollard. Yeah, I'd go Josh Jacobs here. And Josh Jacobs, he was really questionable just yesterday. He didn't fly to Tennessee with the Raiders for this game. He flew separately that day later because he was sick. He had some sort of illness, non-COVID related illness, I would assume, considering he's playing. And I think that the Raiders could very easily beat up on the Titans today. Titans' run defense has not been good this season, and they're without their starting left tackle. I'm nervous about the Titans' offense and defense at this point. One of these teams is going to be 0-3, the Raiders or the Titans, and that's going to be pretty bleak for them. I think it's going to be the Titans that are 0-3, but it could easily be the Raiders too. But yeah, I do like Josh Jacobs over Akers and over Tony Pollard. Sam, please help. Chris, Cooks, Tony Pollard, Connor, or Olave and Flegg. Yeah, it's got to be Brandon Cooks. Really, or James Conner, but with the injury for Connor and a kind of tough matchup for Connor this week too, I'm going Cooks. I like Olave too, but Nelson Aguilar or Darnell Mooney PPR. Yeah, I know Nelson Aguilar, he did Moss, that Steelers defensive back last week, but he could score 0 points. Obviously, both these guys could score 0 points, but Jacoby Myers is out. And for the same reasons that I like Kendrick Bourne, I do kind of think you got to give Nelson Aguilar a little bit of bump. But again, I'm starting Mooney over Nelson Aguilar, and I know it's so tough. It's so tough to trust Mooney in your starting lineups, but you have to try him out there, I think. What's up with Keenan? So Keenan is dealing with a hamstring injury, right? He didn't play last week. So same hamstring injury, which is why he's questionable. But he did get some limited practices in this week, and he is likely going to play. But Justin Herbert is dealing with rib injuries, and he's likely not going to play. And the reason I think he's likely not going to play is the spread of the game has moved drastically. They are not expecting Herbert to play. The people setting the spreads are not expecting Herbert to play. The people placing the wagers are not expecting Herbert to play. The spread has moved from 11.5 to 3.5. This is clearly the biggest news to track of the week. It is the biggest thing to track, and I think you've got to watch what's happening with the spread, and you've got to adjust to that information, and that means moving Keenan Allen down in your rankings. I think there's a lot of risk with Keenan with his injury and without Herbert. Same thing with Mike Williams. If Herbert doesn't play, you got to move Mike Williams way down in your confidence level. So that's why I'm nervous about the Chargers this week, and I actually am taking the Jaguars in this game, plus 3.5, because I don't think Chase Daniels is going to be able to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. With Trevor Lawrence, by the way, a quiet second-year breakout so far for Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence has looked very good. He completed over 80% of his passes last week, and there's no J.C. Jackson for the Chargers this week either. I mean, the Chargers are really down bad right now. Dotson or Olave? I like Olave more than Dotson. Sutton, Cooks, T. Higgins, or Bateman? I like Sutton a lot, man. I don't think I've told a single person to bench Sutton this week. I think you have to start Sutton. There's also the off chance that Judy still doesn't play. It does sound like he's going to play, but even with Judy playing, I think Sutton's a top 20 option. James Robinson or James Conner? I'd go Conner over James Robinson. Hey, Sam, I need to win this week. So Traylon Burks or DK in a PPR league? Keep up the great work. Evan, you got to ask yourself this one question. How much risk are you willing to take? I think you kind of have to go DK because both guys to me have an intriguing ceiling, but we know DK Metcalf. He had I think Lockett actually got more of the targets last week, 11 targets. But I think I would go with DK Metcalf against the Falcons over Burks. I like Burks a lot this week, though. And again, this is a question about how much risk you're willing to take, because there's some safety in just the name of DK Metcalf. He's running out on every single drop back for Geno Smith this season. But Traylon Burks has improved each week. Traylon Burks has been more efficient than DK Metcalf by a lot, actually, this season. 1.2 yards per out run for DK Metcalf. It's like 3.7 yards per out run. He's been almost 3 times as efficient as Metcalf. So I do think you can consider Burks over Metcalf, but it's a really tough decision. There hasn't been a big game for Metcalf yet. It's really close. It's definitely really close. My heart is leaning towards Burks, but definitely our projections are probably leaning towards Metcalf. So again, how much risk are you willing to take to get a dub this week? If you're willing to assume a lot of risk, Evan, for a lot of reward, I would go with Traylon Burks. If you're not, then go with DK Metcalf. Justin Fields or Tom Brady? I'm out on Tom Brady this week. I want to say Fields. Honestly, at least there's some rushing upside with Fields, but you can't feel super good about Justin Fields, who's thrown only 26 passing attempts this season. That's also pretty tough. I don't feel great about Justin Fields either. But guys, Tom Brady this season, no quarterback has been under more pressure this season than Tom Brady. His protection rate, 51%. That means he's being either pressured or sacked on half of his dropbacks this season, because the offensive line is so banged up, and they're going to be banged up again this week. And there's no Mike Evans, and there's no Chris Godwin, and there's probably no Julio Jones. But Cole Beasley, Cole Beasley's going to be there for the Bucs. So I'm going Justin Fields. That's how bad I'm feeling about Tom Brady this week. Don't drop Tom Brady, though, because obviously once they get some of their pieces back, Brady's going to have some big games ahead. Devontae Parker, Kendrick Bourne, or Darnell Mooney. No Jacoby Myers today. The Ravens secondary looked bad last week, but you also got to keep in mind that the Ravens were decimated by injury in their secondary last week, and they're not as decimated by injury this week. They're going to have their 3 top corners this week. Last week, they had 1 of their top 6 corners for most of the game. This week, they're going to have 3 of their top 3 corners. So that's definitely bad for Parker and Bourne. I do like Bourne in DraftKings at a really low price, but I think I'd actually go Darnell Mooney over both of these guys. I wouldn't be shocked if one of them ends up outscoring Mooney, but it's really tough to guess which one it's going to be. A good afternoon, Sam. Hope all is well. Thanks, Kylo. Hope all is well with you, too. Been here since the start. Feel like I've been invisible. LOL. Sorry about that. Pick 2 between Dillon, Burks, Dotson, and New England receivers. Juju, Judy, PPR at WalterPicks. Yeah, I think you go Juju or Judy. I think you go Juju or Judy or Burks. I don't feel great about Thielen, though it feels like only a matter of time until he gets in the end zone. He hasn't scored yet this season. Obviously, he's been a beast scoring touchdowns in years past, but he hasn't scored yet this season. I do think it's going to be a big scoring game, though, for the Vikings and Lions. But yeah, personally, I'd go Juju first, then Judy, then Thielen, then Burks, then Dotson, then the New England receivers, and then whatever's left. Pierce, Gibson, or Pollard, or Juju in flex. Yeah, it's between Gibson and Juju for me in this one. And Gibson has seen very encouraging usage so far this season. I think he's a clear sell candidate, though, with Brian Robinson looming in returning. I actually talked about that in the YouTube video I posted this week. I post one video each week on YouTube, by the way, of guys I'm buying and selling in fantasy. He's seen 14 carries in back-to-back weeks. Antonio Gibson. He gets an interesting matchup this week against the Eagles, who haven't been very good against the run. But yeah, I think I'm okay going with Juju in this one. I'm a little higher on Juju than I think that most people are after his down week last week. Hey, Sam, quick start, say question. Start 1 between Juju, Pollard. Yeah, I'm going Juju. I'm going Juju over Pollard. I'm going Juju over Curtis Samuel. JK, ETN, Wilson, or Pierce. Dave, how's it going, man? Thanks for tuning in to the live again. I like Wilson the most out of these guys. I'm not starting J.K. Dobbins. I don't know how you could possibly trust J.K. Dobbins in his first game back after how slowly he's been eased back into the starting lineup. I won't be shocked if he sees under 10 touches this week. I would be shocked if he got more than 15. Now, Travis Etienne, interesting option in PPR leagues, but he's clearly getting out-snapped, out-touched by James Robinson, which definitely lowers his floor and ceiling. And then Damien Pierce has no role in the pass-catching game. I think I would go with Jeff Wilson, who did look pretty good last week. Hey, Sam, how are we feeling about Evan Ingram, Hayden Hurst, TJ Hawkinson? Well, wait, overall, I'm feeling great, man. We are 30 minutes from kickoff, and it's going to be a really exciting day of football. All 3 of these tight ends are in my top 10, I think. Actually, Hayden Hurst isn't, but Hayden Hurst is a sneaky option at tight end for sure. He's looked a lot better than what they had at tight end last season. I don't know why I'm blanking on the tight end for the Bengals last season's name. I think he's on the Jets now. But yeah, I don't think I would. I think I would go Hawkinson over Evan Ingram just by a small amount. Yeah, I have Hawkins at number 9, Ingram at number 10 in my tight end rankings. All right, guys, we are heading into the witching hour, and I know if you watch Red Zone, the witching hour is when wins become losses and losses become wins in the fourth quarter of the early games. But in fantasy football, this is really when wins become losses and losses become wins. This is when you make your start state decisions and ultimately what will lead to you winning or losing this week. So don't overlook these next 30 minutes. This is really when you have the power to make the decisions. So make sure we're making the most optimal decisions over the next 30 minutes. And I'm going to do everything I can to help us with that by going rapid fire in the comment section for the next 5-10 minutes over on YouTube. Again, if you're watching live on TikTok, you can join the YouTube live. Very easy to join. Link is right in the TikTok bio. But I always wrap up the streams on YouTube because it's easier to answer comments faster on YouTube because I can pick up, I can show the comments right on the screen and I can just show more info on YouTube. So I'm going to be wrapping up the TikTok live. Come to the YouTube live if you want to join the rapid fire portion of this live stream where I just answer comments rapid fire 5 to 10 minutes and then we wrap up the stream. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you don't follow us to the YouTube live, come to the YouTube live. If not, good luck this week. And we'll be live on YouTube for the next 5-10 minutes answering questions. All right. YouTube live. We're heading into the rapid fire portion of this live stream. Let me know in the comments too. Obviously, I've had the top 10 rankings scrolling across. I've had my favorite prop pick shown, Dalvin Cook over 18.5 receiving yards. I showed my DraftKings lineup, which is on the screen right now as well. I have my picks against the spread scrolling across the bottom of the screen right now. Let me know in the comments if there's something you want me to pull up in the top 10 rankings list that you haven't seen yet. Everett or Ingram? I'm going Ingram over Gerald Everett. Sutton or MT in my flex? I'm not betting Sutton this week, Scott. I like Michael Thomas a lot too. Colton, how's it going, man? Sit 1, Gage, Olave, Judy, London. Yeah, I think you got to bench Gage. And I like Gage as a sleeper this week, but I'm not benching him over, starting him over any of these guys. Henderson, Akers, Pollard. Henderson versus Akers, I mean, really flip a coin. I still leaning towards Henderson over Akers, but I think I would go Pollard in this one. Out of James Conner, Henry, James Robinson, or Patterson, which two? Yeah, you got to start Derrick Henry. Just even as bad of a situation as has been in this season, you have to start Derrick Henry. Have to start Derrick Henry. I think it's the first question I've seen all day with Derrick Henry. From there, I'd probably go James Cook. He does a little bit more risk this week, but I'd probably go James Cook. Rashad Penny or Josh Jacobs? I'm going Penny. I'm benching Penny. I'm starting Josh Jacobs 100% over Rashad Penny. Burrow or Stafford? I'm torn. Go Stafford, man. The Cardinals secondary does not look good. Sam, help, please. Mondre, Pollard, AJ Dillon, or Hall. By the way, love the content. I've been tuning into these Sunday lives for like 3 years now. Sebastian, thanks so much, man. I appreciate that. I think I would go AJ Dillon for sure out of these 4. And again, this is a tough week for AJ Dillon, tough matchup, but still the touches are much higher for AJ Dillon than any of these other 4 guys. Then it's between Mondre and Pollard for me. I like Breece Hall. I like the talent for Breece Hall, but Michael Carter's been out touching Breece Hall. I do feel like it's going to be a Mondre week. I like Pollard against the Giants a little bit too. He obviously did really well last week. I want to say AJ Dillon and Tony Pollard, but I think it's really close between Pollard and Mondre. I would argue Pollard's floor is a little worse than Mondre's, but Mondre's ceiling is not quite as good as Pollard's. So it's close, but definitely AJ Dillon in this one. Russ or Stafford? I'm going Stafford over Russ. Let me pull up my QB rankings again because I'm seeing a lot of QB questions. All of a sudden, sorry, that wasn't my QB rankings. Let me pull up my QB rankings. I lost that comment now because there was a second part, so I apologize for that. Garrett Wilson or Brandon Ayuk? The bazooka at flex, I'm going Garrett Wilson over Brandon Ayuk. Choose to be PPR. Bateman, Sutton, Kirk, Lamb, London. Yeah, you got to start Lamb. You got to start Kirk. And I think you got to start Sutton. So you're benching Bateman and London. 2 very good guys on your bench, but I think that's a pretty obvious one there. Marquise Brown, Curtis Samuel, Drake London. I'd go Marquise Brown, then Drake London, then Curtis Samuel. I'm telling so many people to bench Curtis Samuel. I'm going to be so tilted again this week when Curtis Samuel gets another 9 targets. Marquise Brown or Curtis Samuel. Yeah, again, same thing. Michael Carter or Jeff Wilson or Cordero Patterson. I'd go Jeff Wilson, then Carter, then Cordero Patterson, probably. Knox or Ertz. You got to start Ertz, guys. Let me pull up my tight end rankings again. I have Ertz ranked number 8, but really he could be higher. He was a top 10 tight end last week without scoring a touchdown. That's really impressive at the tight end position. He had 9 targets last week. Do you think Drake London is good as my flex if I have Clyde and Wilson? Yeah, that is the move at your flex. Sam, I need you. I'm torn. Henderson, Dotson, DJ Moore, Olave, McScoring at flex PPR. Don't play Dotson over McScoring. Don't play Henderson in this. Do not play Dotson or Henderson. This is a 3-person question. DJ Moore, Olave, Terry McLaurin. I personally lean towards McLaurin. I think it's between McLaurin and DJ Moore as much as I like Olave. I lean towards McLaurin, though. I think I would go McLaurin. Start 2, Curtis Samuel, Connor, Dillon, Zeke, Marquise Brown. I would probably go with Marquise Brown and Dillon, or Marquise Brown and Zeke. In this one, definitely I'm not starting Curtis Samuel. Sterling Shepard or Jarvis Landry, I'm stuck. Yeah, I mean, this is a really tough one. I mean, this is really comparable options. Sterling Shepard has looked pretty good, though, for the Giants. I don't think you're crazy to go Sterling Shepard in this one. Ertz or Juju and flex, do not start 2 tight ends. Don't do it to yourself. I like Ertz as a tight end. I don't like him as a flex. I like Kittle as a tight end. I don't like him as a flex. I don't even like Mark Andrews or Kelsey that much in the flex, and like they definitely can be flex, but I don't want to start 2 tight ends. Just don't do it to yourself. Don't put yourself through double of the tight end misery that you face every week. Like just start Juju in the flex. James Robinson or Jeff Wilson. PPR, I personally lean towards Jeff Wilson by a slight amount. Penny or McKinnon. Yeah, I'm not playing McKinnon over Penny. I still think Penny has somewhat of a ceiling. I play Penny. Sup, Sam. Sup, man. Brandon Cooks, Sutton, DJ Moore, pick 2. Also, is it worth benching Mike Will for Ayuk? I think you can definitely consider benching Mike Will for Ayuk. Let me actually refresh the Twitter feed one more time before we wrap up this live, because there's nothing. There's nothing on if Justin Herbert's playing. By the way, I don't know if you guys saw that Tom Brady broke 2 tablets last week. I mean, absolutely hilarious. Tom Brady frustration. Yeah, I think I would probably go Sutton for sure, and then Brandon Cooks over DJ Moore. I would bench Mike Williams for Ayuk, I think, with this Justin Herbert news. I'm nervous about this Justin Herbert news, more so than most people, I think. I don't know how much everyone else is reacting to this. It seems like the biggest decision point of the week, though, is Justin Herbert playing or not? And again, we're not going to know till the game. But I've said this so many times in this live. Some people that have been here the whole time are probably annoyed with me saying this, but I'm just going to say it one more time for the people in the back. The spread on this game has moved drastically. It was an 11.5-point spread when the spreads opened for the Chargers at home versus the Jaguars. That means they were expecting the Chargers to win this game by 11.5 points. Now the spread is 3.5 points. And I'm actually taking the Jaguars plus 3.5 because the spread has clearly moved in a direction that shows that Herbert's not going to play. And I don't think that would happen if it was closer to like a 50-50 shot of Herbert playing. Herbert wants to play, but that's not who ultimately makes the decision if Herbert plays or not. So I don't think Herbert's playing. I think they would be really risking a lot by starting Herbert with this rib injury. Pierce, Henderson, or ETN. I like Pierce and Henderson. If this is a PPR league, I think you go ETN. If it's not a PPR league, half PPR, non-PPR, I think you go Pierce. Pierce has the safest floor definitely among these 3 guys, though. ETN has the most intriguing ceiling, I would say, though. Gage, Aguilar, Woods, or Gallup. Yeah, we can't start Gallup in his first week back. Definitely can't be starting Robert Woods at this point. I think this one, Jake, is definitely Gage. I would go Gage. I like him as a sleeper this week. I'm playing Jeff Wilson over Curtis Samuel. I'm playing this is so tough. Devontae Smith, Jerry Jeudy, Curtis Samuel. I've said no to Curtis Samuel just so many times. I'm getting scared about Curtis Samuel at this point, doing well. But I still think I would go Jeudy over Devontae Smith and over Curtis Samuel. I'm back again, Sanders for Clyde or Wilson. I would prefer getting Wilson more than Clyde at this point. Clyde has played around 40% of the snaps. He hasn't seen tons of work. He hasn't seen tons of volume. He has scored multiple touchdowns. He had a big play last week, went over 100 yards last week, but I'm nervous about Clyde overall. I think he's a pretty easy sell candidate right now. Elijah Moore, Ayuk, or Pierce for flex. I'm going to Elijah Moore, man. I think this could be the Elijah Moore breakout week. It's only a matter of time until we see Elijah Moore do something more close to what he did in his rookie season. Hey, Sam, Jacobs or Carter and Wentz or Russ? I would go Jacobs and Russ. Aaron Jones or Zeke? Definitely Aaron Jones. DK or Allen? I lean towards Allen Robinson over DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf's floor is clearly lower this season. Damien Harris or Jeff Wilson? I like Jeff Wilson more than Damien Harris. I am nervous about Damien Harris this week. Again, let's pull up my running back rankings one more time. I don't know how many times I've shown these running back rankings, but I'm very high on Dalvin Cook this week. Lamb or Jeff Wilson? Definitely CeeDee Lamb over Jeff Wilson. Akers, Harris, Mostert, Landry, PPR start 2. Oh, God, this is gross. Scotty. Mostert is kind of interesting. He did get more run last week. And again, I think this Bills-Dolphins game, you're going to want pieces of this game that could easily end up being a big Mostert play. He played 57% of the snaps last week, but he only had 11 carries. He had 14 touches, 79 yards, no TDs. That's not terrible, given the guys you're choosing between here. But it is PPR, so I would play Landry for sure. And then I'd probably play Mostert. It's either Landry and Mostert or Landry and Akers. I'm not starting Damien Harris this week, especially in PPR. Tua or Stafford. Let me pull up my QB rankings again. I think I do have Stafford just a tiny bit ahead. Yeah, I'm one spot ahead. Sorry, keep hitting the mic. I'm one spot ahead of Tua. But the more I think about this Bills-Dolphins game, I'm okay starting Tua over Stafford. If you want to really shoot for the ceiling, Tua's ceiling is so massive. We saw it last week. This week he again gets a decimated secondary. 3 6th-round picks starting in the secondary for the Bills today. They're not all rookies, but a couple of them are. So, yeah, you can start Tua. I think Stafford's maybe a little safer, but Tua's definitely in play today. He's definitely in play. Goff or Mariota? Yeah, both these guys are interesting this week. I think Mariota's a really safe floor. He's averaging the 3rd most rushing yards per game, 44 rushing yards per game. That's pretty strong, man. But Goff is also in a potential shootout today. I'm okay going Goff for the ceiling, Mariota for the floor. Ask yourself, do you want to lock in at least 15 points? Go with Mariota. He's got over 15 each of the first 2 weeks. Do you want to go for the ceiling with Goff? He's been a top 10 quarterback so far this season because of some big plays with Among Us, St. Brown, with DJ Chark, with DeAndre Swift, with TJ Hawkinson. So if you're going for the ceiling, play Goff. Like Gavin, if you feel like you're in a tough matchup this week, go Goff. If you feel like you should easily beat your opponent this week, go Mariota. Christian Kirk. Yes. If this is the question, Christian Kirk question mark, the answer is yes to the Christian Kirk question. Please, Mike Williams, Traylon Burks, Curtis Samuel, Juju. I'm going Juju with this one, or Traylon Burks. Again, I'm out on Curtis Samuel, and I'm kind of out on Mike Williams this week too. I think you go Juju or Burks. I think Juju's a little bit safer. I think Traylon Burks has an interesting ceiling. Can we talk about Kyler Murray? Scores me 2 points by halftime, and then by the end of the game, gets me 20 plus. Yeah, yards fun. Like the emotional roller coaster that Kyler Murray puts us through every week. I do have Kyler Murray on one of my lineups too. Like, it's just so brutal. Like, can he just be a little bit more even keel throughout the game? It's so tough to watch these games with Kyler. For the first 90% of the game, he has 2 points, and then he ends with 27 points. He was the number 7 quarterback in week 2. He was the number 9 quarterback in week 1, and a big part of that is the rushing. He has 1 rushing TD, 28.5 rushing yards per game, 10 carries so far this season, and that's huge in fantasy. I'm back again. We already said Sanders. I want Wilson more than Clyde, definitely. Marquise Brown, Bateman, or Michael Thomas. I think in this one, Jack, you go MT. Then Brown, then Bateman. I need you, Sam. Marquise Brown or Jerry Jeudy? Yeah, I'd go Marquise Brown over Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy is still questionable too. He's not like a lock to play. He is likely going to play, but he's definitely not a lock to play. And yeah, I'm seeing tweets. Someone, please tell me, is Justin Herbert playing? Someone, please, just tell us. Is Justin Herbert playing or is he not playing? I think he's not playing, but we aren't for sure about that at all. Juju or Pollard? I'm going Juju over Pollard. Start 1. Connor, AJ Dillon, Josh Jacobs. This is for RB2 PPR. Have a good Sunday. Thanks, Aaron. Hope you have a great Sunday as well. I like Josh Jacobs actually the most out of these 3 guys. I think Josh Jacobs is in a really good spot. Why do you hate Samuel? I just think that the usage for Samuel feels like way closer to his ceiling than his floor. I don't think we've seen the floor for Curtis Samuel. I still think he's likely going to finish the season as the number 3 receiver on this team, but I also think that Washington, the Commanders, have had 2 really good matchups to start the season in the passing game. They played the Jaguars, and then they played the Lions, and the Eagles secondary is much better than both those defenses. He's obviously been used a lot. He had 11 targets in week 1, 9 targets in week 2. He played more snaps in week 2 as well. He ran 45 routes in week 2, very strong. I just don't see this being a weekly thing for Curtis Samuel still. It's only been 2 weeks. I get that he's done it each of the first 2 weeks, but it's only been 2 weeks. We know Terry McLaurin's still the top receiver on this team. Dotson has looked pretty good too. And again, they played 2 really easy secondaries. So that's why I'm most nervous about Curtis. I don't hate Curtis Samuel. Obviously, Curtis Samuel was pretty good to be in this many start take questions. But I think he's much shakier of an option than people are realizing. You need to start 3. Jacobs, Dillon, Pollard, A-Rob. Yeah, I'm benching Pollard. Bench Pollard in this one. Michael Thomas or Bateman. I'm going MT, Jacob, over Bateman. Guys, I got 1 minute left. I will answer a couple more questions, give you some final thoughts for today, and then we will wrap up the live. I do got to check my own start sits and my own DraftKings lineups quickly before kickoff. DJ Moore, Michael Carter. I'm going DJ Moore over Michael Carter. Schultz might not play. Schultz is very questionable. Yeah, I play Irv Smith. You already knew about the Schultz injury. Yeah, play Irv Smith. J-Rob Bateman or DJ Moore. I kind of like Bateman more than DJ Moore. I'm not going to lie. Bro, I need help. Bro, Alex, I got you. Josh Jacobs or Jeff Wilson at flex. Play Josh Jacobs. Play Josh Jacobs. Got offered Aaron Jones and Deontay Johnson for Pittman. That's a pretty good trade, especially if you need a running back. I think it's a pretty fair deal. Obviously, Pittman is really good, and that's why I'm telling everyone you need to start Pittman. He was the number 5 receiver in week 1. We saw what the Colts looked like without Pittman. You could easily see another 13 targets today, but Aaron Jones has looked great too. And Deontay Johnson has such a safe floor. We talked about it on Thursday, but another game over 10 points for Deontay Johnson on Thursday. He's had over 10 points basically 3 straight years now. Over 10 points in basically every single game for Deontay Johnson. His ceiling's not quite there compared to Pittman, but the floor is pretty strong for Deontay. Pick 2, Garrett Wilson, Thielen, London. I'm okay benching Thielen for the 2 rookies in this one. Been here all stream. Thanks, Mike. Mike Evans is in the stream. Yeah, he's suspended this week, so it makes sense. Thanks for tuning in, Mike. Jeff Wilson or Garrett Wilson or Juju. Half PPR. This one's definitely a tough one, too. I'm okay going Jeff Wilson if you want to lock in the floor. Otherwise, I'm okay going Garrett Wilson. I think I'd go Jeff Wilson, though, in this one. Bateman or Big Mike, if Herbert is in. I'd still go Bateman if Herbert's in. If Herbert's in, Xavier, this is the thing you got to understand. Even if Herbert's in, this injury is going to impact his play, and it's probably not going to be great for his deep passing, which is where Mike Williams comes into play a little bit more. And Bateman, I think, is in a really good matchup this week against the Pats. A.J. Brown or Marquise Brown, you got to start A.J. Brown. Burks or Dotson, I'm going Burks over Dotson. Sutton or Garrett Wilson, definitely Sutton. Judy or Henderson, definitely Judy. J-Rob or DJ Moore, I'd lean DJ Moore personally. Burks or Dotson, yeah, again, I'd go Burks. Guys, some final thoughts. Again, so much of my analysis today has been about the Justin Herbert injury. We don't know if he's playing. I don't think he's going to play. I think even if he plays, he's not going to be at 100%. But the spreads show us that Herbert's not going to play. Again, that spread moved 8 points since its opening line. I think the Patriots are in some big trouble today as well. Let me pull up my picks against the spread one more time. I don't have that. I do have Dalvin Cook over 18.5 receiving yards. Get Dalvin Cook in your DraftKings lineups. But I do think that the Patriots are in some trouble against the Ravens. I also think the Bengals low-key could go 0-3, start the season, and lose to the Jets today. I like the Jets +6. I also like the Eagles, 6-point favorites against the Commanders. That's one of my locks today. The Eagles have the number 1 offensive line in the NFL. The Commanders' defense has not looked good this season. Another one of my locks today is the Falcons +1 against the Seahawks. I'm still really down on the Seahawks. I think the Falcons are pretty clearly better than the Seahawks, and you're getting 1 point against the Seahawks too. And then lastly, I think the Packers beat the Bucs today. They're 1.5 point underdogs as well. I like that spread a lot. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I'll be back live Thursday night, as always, and Sunday morning. Lucas, man, let me get to your question really quickly. Here we go. Juju, Thielen, or Garrett Wilson? I would probably go with. I think I would lean Juju in this situation, or Judy and Garrett Wilson. I wouldn't start Thielen, or definitely don't start Julio Jones. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. If I didn't get to your questions, again, you can get all your start-sit questions answered in the WalterPicks app completely free. You can do as many start-sit comparisons as you want. And if I didn't get to your questions, that's the best place you can go for your start-sit questions. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. Time is the most valuable thing we have. Thank you for spending some time with me today. Have a great Sunday, guys, and I'll be back live next week.